I can kind of take things a little bit slow. No, I don't want to take chip damage, but soon as I have minions out, then that's just an extra thing for Nick to target with his Protoss spells.
Yeah. Yeah. Nick just currently not being allowed to do that, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, having to manage hand space here and just maximum mana efficiency. I might have liked to see the Flame Geyser come out just to have the 1/2, right? If you figure you're gonna have to create your own targets anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, spending of your mana as well, starting to make some space, but
such choices.
Yala's going to have to play a card soon. Or either that or just burn through his deck randomly, like, I don't know.
See, seems unlikely that would be the line he goes for. But,
doesn't seem correct. Yeah.
I mean, it's very possible that we just see a shield block hero power here and, wait one last turn.
Such choices.
Yeah?
This is a quest warrior without the Tortola and Chemspill, right? So does have Ceaseless, is just about surviving and controlling until that quest, and sort of unconcerned with hitting particular sort of combo-y pieces, right, to get out that early Tortola.
Yes. Does end up going this way.
Yep.
Was wondering for a while there if he was just going to try and get his Ziliax down before gaining any armor at all, or something ridiculous like that, so that all the armor wouldn't be chipped away at ever, and then the Ziliax would heal him back up, and all the damage wouldn't count. Like just the sort of thing that floats through your mind when you're deciding not to play any cards. You have a minute and a quarter to think every single turn. But now here's the relief that Nick's been waiting for.
Yep, finally able to use those Protoss spells. Coil can only hit minions, and Photon, you really want to hit a minion if you can to get the extra discount. Some more ramp for Yarla. I think a welcome pickup. Not much else to do, so...
Yeah. Yeah, he didn't even spend a few seconds to sort of take it personally that he has to float a mana.
Meanwhile, Nick definitely set on discounts. I think glad to have this spell to pair with the Hallucination. Otherwise, Hallucination can kind of be an awkward Protoss spell to hit off of Resonance Coil, because you don't have a lot of targets for it, and you want to play it before Colossus.
Right, yeah. Slowly getting them played now. Obviously not made that much progress yet. He's not supposed to have. It's only turn 7. Well, I mean, sometimes if you're playing an aggro deck, the mage plays this totally differently and just clears the board and does 16 damage to your face turn 7 and the game ends. But yeah, it's very different against the warrior, obviously.
Well, and something that can happen when the Warp Gate is down so early is that once Colossus gets to 2 or 0, the threat of just Deus Colossus together is just so high. I mean, that represents, something like 40 damage a lot of times.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is the one at Brewmaster in this deck as well. For another go at some point. Obviously, the Deus never lives, so you never get to do the full chunk ever again. But
yeah, I think Deus is sort of the reason that this deck is able to keep up in this sort of Franken meta, because old Protoss Mage, the issue is you had to Brewmaster to get your extra hits in, right? And so that would provide a window where you needed to get your warp gate discounts all over again, or have gotten enough discounts from Artanis and photon cannons to be able to play Colossus multiple times. Whereas with the Deos, you can get that huge hit all at once. And maybe you still play one Colossus and bounce it earlier just to whittle down, but the ability to have, one huge clean turn where you do 40, 50 is a massive asset to the deck's lethality.
And obviously, it rifles through when it wants to. It rifles through its deck quite quickly as well with all these spells. Some of them are card draw if you need them. You get quite a lot of choice in to sort of shape your own adventure as you go with this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, the problem of what to dump is now upon us.
Yeah, gonna be looking. I was thinking Warp Gate. Maybe you just throw out the Arcane Artificer because you're taking infinite damage anyway if you're gonna die.
It's a lot.
Yep. Oh, just making room to play the Shield Battery. I think it might have been known which cards were about to be drawn there.
Got it. Yeah. Ham.
Yeah, Nick has... Oh, I guess there is a chance of picking up Artanis. But there's... Other than that, there's no Protoss cards remaining in Nick's deck.
So Ham has... What, a 1 in 6 or something of just hitting Deos here? Yala doesn't know that, of course.
But if you feel like you need it, I could see a world where you go Ham plus Bulwark, right? To sort of hedge on both ends. Like, well, we'll try and hit it from deck, and and we'll set up the Bulwark, in case it's in hand.
Yeah, I like that approach a lot, actually. And there's other good things for Ham to eat in theory. There's the Colossus itself. Obviously, it also has to be dealt with, which is just a pain sometimes for the mage. Sometimes you want it, as we talked about earlier.
Just gonna set up the Hand Hero power. Brewmaster is a decent hit, not the best, but probably if you figure all the Protoss pieces are drawn, then Youthful Brewmaster is the number 2 hit after Deos.
Just too slow. Did you happen to catch how much damage those Colossuses are doing? Production did kindly hover over them for us, but it's
that much. 20.
All of the damage then. Okay.
Yeah, and the ability to play 2 of them in a turn is just going to be enough.
It's just lethal.
Who needs
They got to
Deos?
10 really quickly there. And the Protoss Mage gets through, and I think that's a big deal here. Like, it's been doing fine. It's been doing really well in the hands of Nick Drake and Monkey Flip over this tournament. But again, when you look at the stats for the rest of the tournament, when you look at some of the matchups, it is a deck that hasn't done particularly great. It's done okay. He'll be pleased that is through. And then we're just left with that Druid and his own control warrior.
Es lo que tiene Mago Protoss, está muy fuerte. Primera partida para Nick Drake.
Same deal again, by the way. Do massive damage, remove giants. Like that was apparently the working plan for this game plan. That's all I know about Nick Drake and Monkey Flip. That was their idea.
Yeah, well, it's always a good time when you get to see 30-30s. It's not something that happens too often in Hearthstone.
Yeah, exactly.
Although I suppose with starships, we're seeing minions close to that size pretty frequently.
I did have to check that they weren't flipping Tortolas into 31s instead of 130s, but they're not doing that.
No, it's not enough damage for this format, with all the armor gain.
That is true. Yeah, massive damage isn't 30 anymore, is it? It's like 70 or something.
I mean, unless you're using the surprise factor, right? But of course, these players would be playing around it because it's open deckless. So, you know, the odds of you kind of landing the early Tortola and then, you know, just getting the jump on someone for it wouldn't even be 30, right? Because it takes 5 damage from the Chemist build. So. Yeah, I think it's just not really a format that lends itself to doing that. But, you know, it was fun when we did that for a bit in the past.
You call it fun. You're obviously the one doing the 30ing. As the receiver of the 30, I was never so happy about it, to be honest. But no, on ladder in particular, it's a big deal where you don't know it's coming, as you said.
I'm just glad that we're not watching all kinds of testing dummies.
That is also true. That would, yeah, be very terrifying. This Druid list, by the way, of Nick Drake's it's a list. Absolutely. And again, we're going to see it again later, so mention it quickly. It has got an owl in there, but the only 4 cards that work with the owl are the Ebb and Flow and Press the Advantage. That's it.
Which, you know, and Press the Advantage, I mean, both of those really are things that you kind of want to use as early control tools. So I suppose the thinking is, well, in the matchups where I need them as early control tools, then, you know, that's fine. I suppose there's a thought that, like, well, you're not going to use all 4 of them in the early game, and then you just save one later on, and you really only need 1 spell a lot of the time. Because if you have triple Aulonius, the damage is substantial.
Yeah, it's 27 for triple and 67, as people will be excited about, if there's 4 owls. So,
right.
With the Ebb and Flow, and obviously take 2 off if you're using the other cards. So
wait,
you can just have it in your deck to set up.
I think you can only get 3 owls, right?
You can get 4 by... I knew how to do this. I knew yesterday how to do this. Give me a second.
Because there's no Elise anymore, right? So
there's no Elise. So there's the Zitashari. There's the owl.
Oh well.
Oh come on, brain.
Oh well, no. So if you get
you use both students. Yeah, you use both
you make
students.
3 copies. So yes, 3 copies plus the original. Is there board space for that though? I guess so. Yeah, exactly.
You have to set it up correctly.
You need to have a completely empty board. Apart
you
from
set it up earlier, and then
that's
right. Yeah, then you get the 3. Then you get 3 locations. You play 1 owl. You copy them all. But in a game against a warrior where you know it's coming and you've sort of gone through all your other stuff, it's a thing you can elect to try. But that is the druid. This is not the warrior, having just won with it. So. Sorry, having not queued it, he hasn't won with it. Just to be clear. Good early hand here, though, for the Warlock. Awkward to manage, but if the Nidus Worm does hit locations, which it's got a very, very high chance of doing with this hand, get going with your Horizon's Edges, copy those, you can do a lot of damage very, very quickly. But the Druid just gets out of range and starts making its own massive stuff really fast, although there is no ramp for them at the moment.
Yeah, no ramp, but, you know, plenty of stuff to do, right? There's going to be this Traveler on 3, ability to, you know, take an Oaken Summons here. I think the question is when you use this draw spell, the Wave Shaping, whatever you don't pick is going on the bottom of the deck. So, you know, now Nick knows that Aulonius is on the bottom of the deck.
Oh, that's the real reason to play it, I see. You just put it on the bottom of your deck and never use it. It's just bait. So now you're playing a 29-card deck, right? That's how maths works.
Or you just figure, like, all right, well, if it gets to the point where I need this, then it's at the bottom. But I think this isn't really a matchup where you care about Owl so much.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think you care about it almost ever, by the way. I think they just put it in there because there was a slot. I've just got a feeling you almost never play it. You're too busy doing too many other vile and disgusting things to your opponent to care about the owl most of the time, I think. As you're about to see start off now.
Interesting, just throwing out the location from the jump instead of token summons, I guess.
Yeah.
So, and here's why. It's just going to be an immediate copy the Arcanite.
Sure.
Going for massive Starship line where you play Arcanite, you copy it, you then scrapbook the location. And actually, I suppose with this line, you almost don't care about the doubling stats. And so this is a way that you can utilize, and I don't think this particular matchup it would come to it, but a way you could utilize the Aulonius more is you save Well of Eternity and go for, rather than having a bunch of, because the owl also, you don't care about the stats on the owl. So like, you can still have a bunch of copies of, this location, so you get a bunch of owls. You don't care about their stats, and instead you you've got Well of Eternity, which you also don't need upgraded, so you just never play Ajara.
Yeah, I ran a few games of this yesterday when I saw this deck was doing well, just to make sure I understood the list a little bit. And what you just said, like, a lot of the time, you're just playing your good cards and having good interactions with them. You don't necessarily need... It doesn't need any one thing to happen. There's so many little things you can do that are just good. You're not overly bothered which good things you do. Took the 50-50 there, but again, they've got the other Oaken Summons for next turn. Choice to make now whether they want to just use it and get it used, ready for the second press, or whether they want to hold it back and for the scrapbook next turn. Depends how much damage he thinks he's going to take.
Yeah. I mean, it's been a slower start for Yarla. Just now getting the Rot Heart to probably pull a giant. There's always a chance that it pulls Ceaseless. Yeah, just going to be on the safer side. Go for the copy here. I think because he really wants to play Student next turn.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, the slow start for the Warlock is a sign they've got a handful of things that are about to do stuff, because there aren't that many expensive cards, so you've got a reasonable read that this is the sort of hand that Yarla has. If they haven't been doing stuff early, then what are they waiting on? Well, it's probably some pop-off stuff.
Yep, and not slow anymore. Horizon's Edge plus these Zergs, and the copy means that it's very likely both will be able to have something to attack into. Yeah, that's gonna be 2 Seaside Giants.
Yeah, that's the thing we were talking about earlier as well. Just the maths of this is painful in terms of you want to make sure that some things hit face, but you also need your trades to work so you can open up the Horizon's Edge again. So you're constantly sort of trying to balance the board. You don't want to let their minions live, but you also want them there for a while. And Yarla's navigated that fine. And now we're going to see, can the Druid cope with what it's meant to do, which is put a load of stuff in the way of these giants and kill them over and over and over again.
Yeah, Nick, I think, was hoping to get a discounted Stargrazer, potentially. Although, even at 6, this is pretty early. You're not going to be able to get it out. It would line up very nicely even without the spell burst of just like you scrapbooking Student here, and then on 6 you're able to make 3 Stargrazers.
Yep. So many things you want to do here. You really just want to play this scrapbook and say, okay, I take your 16 plus your damage from your location.
I think you have to.
It's so painful.
It's so painful. Yeah.
It's doing it, yeah.
I mean, I'm not sure you get another opportunity. And it
Exactly,
just opens up so many so many plays. Now there is only one Stargrazer, so that's it. No opportunity to get a 6-mana 1 off of this Traveler. I think it is just going to be Ziliax picked up, which will be slightly too expensive to play.
So many options here in terms of how you kill this 1/3. You've got to work out what you think the Horizon's Edge is going to do. You kind of want to use your copy. You kind of want to make an 8/8. You kind of want to do so many things.
But you have to be careful of, you know, everything getting turned into 1/8s. And so that's
Yes,
something that will be on Jarla's mind as well. There's 2 copies of that Twilight Time Reaver.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential here, though, with all the locations. The Horizon's Edge could have even popped the the Tide Pool, but just gonna... Or not Tide Pool.
Yeah, this board would really suck if those giants were turned into 1/8s with all this lack of space available.
What's this one called? Spawning Pool. We've got Tide
the one.
Pools, we've got Spawning Pools.
Really, if you're a Drake fan, just
I mean,
some armor.
there's only one... I guess there's potentially 2 No? Yeah, there's potentially
Yeah, there's 2
Corpse
Corpsicles
Pools.
in Yala's deck. Yeah.
I'd be tempted to just go for the Bob Freeze and say, well, next turn I get a lot of Ziliax, you know? But it's also
What
reasonable
about
to go
just
full
triple
Starship.
copy this?
Yeah.
Yeah. You got Oaken Summons as well, but you've
Nothing to pull.
nothing to pull anymore, so pointless. Oh, he's going to do it anyway for the 6. So a Corpsicle range because he knows there are 2 in the deck. Open deck lists, fine.
Yeah, I guess
Now
if you're
what?
if you're figuring the possibility of your board getting cleared here, then the 6 armor is more than, you know, 4 armor and another taunt. Yarla has not gotten table flip, and it'd be fairly expensive with this hand anyway.
You can press the Zerg button, Kerrigan, and then see if you want to hit them for 16.
I mean, I think, like, you're bummed, but this is still just the best thing you've got.
Yeah.
I think the concern is you only have board space for the 1 queen, and you've now lost your hero power, so you're a little bit at the mercy of your top decks.
Had the choice to make space for the other one if they wanted to. Had to give up the rush though, which would be a bad thing to give up, obviously.
Yep.
But you're getting this done before those locations reopened might have been in the plan. Like, it's just maybe you just don't have a chance against Ziliax, or you don't fancy it, and you just try and beat not Ziliax here.
Yeah. Something that Nick could have done last turn is he could have traded the scrapbooking student into one of the giants just so it would be softened up.
Yeah.
And so then if you expect this particular play, then you get to clear a giant and the queen. Instead now just having to clear one of the giants.
Yeah, it's a good spot. He chose to go face right for 5, just quite quickly as well. I remember him doing that. It's a good spot that kind of misses this clear now.
Not enough corpses to get the Corpsicles recursive, but I think you're usually willing to spend one of them without that corpse count increased.
Yeah, I don't think you get to the point where you can sort of recurse 2 of them anyway, so I agree with you. You can just fire one into the ether. Of course, it's Yarla, so he really doesn't want to part with one, but he could if he wanted to.
The only deck that was really able to sustain that for any length of time was the Quest Warlock when that was a thing. where you're just,
Yes,
summoning
yeah.
like 2 to 4 minions every turn.
God, that was a silly time. Yeah.
I'm gonna do this for the extra hero power shots. Oh, just gonna go
okay.
ahead and spend both of them. All right. I mean, you're
So is
kind
that
of in
lethal?
striking distance, and you want to make sure that you are. Yeah, I think that might just be lethal.
Yeah, it's got to be lethal, otherwise he wouldn't have
Wow.
wasted the.
Yep.
He would have made the trade to get the corpse back. So, nicely calculated by Yarla. That's why he's one of the best.
Yep.
Took his time, made sure he got all the Horizon stuff to work how it's supposed to, and like made sure he pointed the corpse at the right place at the right time, because if you, and so on. He made sure he had all the mana available.
The randomness of Horizon shots makes lethals messy. You sort of have to go, I think it's here, but let's see how the cannons fire.
Yeah, absolutely. One apiece, and I thought that Nick Drake had stabilised there, but Yarla's push the turn before is what got him there, right? He decided, this is it, I've got to go for it. There's some things I can't beat, but any second now, Nick Drake's going to start copying big ships, and then I can't win. So he went for it just in time and got there.
Yeah, because
and again,
I'm just going to say that with the ship play that Nick went for, right, then you just have to survive for the location to wake up again. You awaken your ship with all the Arcanites in it, and then summon the 2 copies, and that's probably lights out.
Yeah, if the Corpsicles can't get there and the Horizon can't get enough face damage in, that's just about it at that point, for sure. That Druid deck's going to be a lot today, like variants on the theme as well through the day. There's plenty of those to come up in Americas. We've got 2 of them at least in Europe. And I think that might be one of the more poor hands we will see. It did have the stuff, but it just didn't have
No ramp.
the cohesion, the ramp, yeah.
Like even Acceleration Aura, which is sort of scuffed ramp, because Paladin has it too. Like, it gives you the ramp for the turns that count, right? The turns that matter.
Yes.
And I think, that 1 turn of difference could have just totally shored things up for Nick. I think particularly when you consider that it brings you from 2 to 4, right? That you go, okay, turn 2, Acceleration Aura, turn 4, Oaken Summons, and, there's a lot of 4s in the deck, so you really want to get started on those early.
Yeah, missing on both those. Not ideal, but Yarla did find the way through it. It was still tricky even there. I think a random ladder game between 2 sort of randomy players there would probably have gone the Druid's way, even so.
My
Me
long
versus
struggle has ended. I stand for my people.
Okay, on the Zerg Hunter for Yarla. I say that because I'm surprised, because I looked at the deck list, because he has the Sisters in there. So I'd assumed it was the regular Discover Hunter, but no, it's the Zerg version with Sisters thrown in. How do you feel about that? Because I love Sylvanas decks, but I don't actually love her in this deck personally.
Yeah, so it's interesting, because you're basically doing the Sisters over Hydralisk, which... for me, takes a little bit away from the appeal of, doing the Zerg Hunter. I get that Spawning Pool, as, the 1 cost, is just a good location alongside Parrot Sanctuary to discard Seaside Giant, and that's really the appeal of doing this one, right? That you're on that Giant game. But it feels bad not to have the Hydralisk alongside the Zerglings. I don't know.
Yeah, for the reason I don't particularly love it personally as well is your bird watching in the Zerg version of this deck is very, very powerful.
Yes.
You get what you want a lot of the time. In the regular Discover deck, it's not so powerful. There's a lot of minions in there, and you put 3 extra minions in your deck, and you take away a lot of that power in the Zerg build. So, you've got to find your giants a bit more slowly, that sort of thing. And so you're relying on the other version. But the other version's such a powerful deck, it doesn't really need the giant. So this hybrid version, it may well be the best version. It's just not the version that works well in my brain.
Yeah, well, and I mean, something that you can do that I don't know if anyone is, I have to check the other Zerg lists, but like, if you were to forgo the sisters and actually include Zergling, then you'd be able to do the thing where it's like, well, I've got a bunch of Zergs in play, and now I birdwatching, hit a Zergling, and, you know, buff my entire board by +2/+1 because it hits all the copies.
Yes. I have seen that on ladder. I don't know if anyone brought it to this tournament.
Yeah, I think it's gone out of fashion because they did not revert the way Zerglings used to be, where it's summoned a copy. Otherwise, we might be seeing hand buff hunters.
Yes, yeah.
These could belong to a brand new species.
Yeah, that specific hand buff hunter. There were one or two lurking around with the copy. I can't remember the name of the bear. The bear hunter, basically, where you just buff them, play them on turn 4, off you go.
Yeah.
But yeah, no Zergs.
So yeah, it's interesting because it feels in a lot of ways like, oh, you know, all the old things are back. But, you know, there's still some differences. Not everything has been reverted. And, you know, some things are in a slightly altered state. And then, of course, there's, you know, other cards that are going to be staying post-rotation that, you know, have been nerfed and so are not being included in these things when maybe they used to be.
One of the slight interesting things is Yala proves to be a liar before I say it, but I'm stupid enough to go ahead and say it anyway. In this particular deck is that Steel is one of the best Grifter options as opposed to Deal 6 a lot of the time. They're still both very good.
Yeah.
But Yala obviously wanting that extra pressure right now from the tournament. Oof.
Yeah, I think it's just he feels like he has to win before he'd have anything to, like, properly steal and run into.
Yes. That makes
And
sense.
A couple of the things have elusive anyway, right? Stargrazer you can't steal, Ziliax you can't steal, so it's really just about the starship pieces.
Yeah, sure. So I'm not yep-shoring you, I'm just yep-shoring all these rolls. Like 2/6 and 3/6 for 4 mana.
This is the first sister, right, in Sylvanas, so not
Yes.
really one you want to play
What roll
early.
should I make?
Bit of an awkward spot. I think Yarla was really looking for, you know, potentially draw 3 off of the Grifta just with the spot he's in.
Time runs short.
Yeah. Sometimes you just... Grifter's a bit weird. To play Grifter optimally, I think sometimes you just have to play it. Even if you don't really want any of the cards from it right now, because it's a Yeti for 4 mana, like Yetis were back in the day. So sometimes you just need a 4/5, especially against Druid, where you want to get that early kill, as you described. And then you look at the options and go, well, which of these do I actually want? And I agree that draw would be the one that he would want, but I don't think he was fishing for anything in particular. He just needed a Yeti.
Yep. Brutal, rolling a couple of 2-power minions, one of which doesn't even have toughness to back it up. I think Yarla was hoping there was something a little more aggressive there.
Yeah, it's one of the reasons I think that that option isn't taken that often. Apart from that, obviously, there's so many better other things to do with the way the deck is built, but you don't even see it taken in, you know, decks that just play Grifter because it's good. It's because the 4-drops are kind of poopy. They are not very good sometimes.
I think after this rotation, they're going to be considerably better, but at the moment, yeah, there's a lot of range in the 4-drops in a 6-set meta, and yeah, some of them are 2/1 rushes, so...
Yeah, a lot of the time it's because they have battle cries that obviously you don't get the battle cry when it's summoned, so you have to have a punish on the stats. And 4 seems to be, at the moment, the magic number for that.
Yep. I suppose another thing with the taunt is they, you know, sort of protect the Rangari Scout, but Yarla has not been getting the top decks to reward that, right? I think the thing with Discover Hunter is, like, yes, this sometimes happens, but, you know, were he to pick up a bird watching or a tracking, like, suddenly you're off to the races. And now instead, yeah, just forced to play this Sylvanas because otherwise it's kind of hero power pass.
I don't think it'll matter. I think the game will be over one way or the other before we get there, but it does mess with the hydration stations when your opponent plays the bad taunt as well. So.
Yeah, that's true. Well, no, because it's a 4-drop and give it taunt, I think. So it's not necessarily a taunt.
Oh, yeah, okay, so it's not going to be a lot of the time. No, you're right, I'm being stupid. Yeah.
Which actually means that the range is even bigger, right? Because it's all 4-drop minions, not just 4-drop taunt minions.
Yeah. So, everything going on for Nick Drake here. Only facing down 9 on board and 3 cards. So has a turn to do what he likes. Ramp and a location is probably what he likes most.
I should think so, yeah. Get Zinajari down so that you can, copy Ziliax the following turn.
Yeah, seems good to me. And then on the 9 mana... Oh, the next turn will be the 9 mana turn.
I mean, I suppose,
So
you wouldn't
not
have to
use it.
Ziliax. You could... are you thinking then copy the Zinajari and just make a bunch of defense crystals?
Yeah, something like that in my mind
Yeah.
is how it works. But it depends exactly where you're standing at the time.
Probably that.
Because the Grift has gone, so much of the pure danger has gone out of the deck.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've seen a couple, whiff turns from Yarla.
Oh!
Ooh, that's a
take it
big
back.
deal.
Grifter's back! Has got to decide whether he wants the Grifter back or the Sylvanas. I don't think it's that tough a choice. I think you want the Grifter, but...
Yeah, I mean, against something more aggressive, you would maybe do the Sylvanas, or maybe if you were, closing out on lethal and you already had the other sisters played, but I think you've got the scout down, you want the extra value, yeah, even gonna play
These could belong
this scout
to a brand new species.
to get 3 copies. I don't think he would take draw 3 times. He will take deal 6 3 times, though.
Sure will.
Nick gonna get the bad news.
It is bad news, especially where he's sat. He doesn't know. There's been a card sat in hand for a long time on the left-hand side there. And that could very well be Niri.
Yeah, gonna go ahead and do the option that clears some of the board. And puts him at 30 rather than trying to load up on extra
armor.
copies and armor. Because the Arcanite Defense Crystals still have to die to give you the armor.
Yes.
So if there were a Neri in hand, and I suppose you never beat Neri in hand, right? Because it's just 36.
It's just 36, yeah. Yeah, you only beat that if you get the armor and then still haven't taken any damage, and you can't do that right now.
Time is of the essence.
I think
I'm looking
debating.
at copying owls and how much damage you can do to one minion with that deal 6.
Yeah, I
You
think
can
he's
really hurt a minion later on.
deciding whether to kill both scouts and what to use, right? Do you use the deal 6 or do you press the advantage?
That's also a choice, because we are in the range now where owls are starting to add
Yep.
up. But yeah.
Yeah, and very very few spells to use with it.
Another tough choice. Kerrigan does clear.
Not. Oh yeah, with you give a queen rush.
Yeah,
for
you
sure.
give them rush, yeah, and lose one of your things.
You might not do it though.
Yeah, it's not a Yarla play to do that, but I want to say not a Yarla play. That usually means not a good play, because Yarla's very, very good if Yarla wouldn't do it. But he does have a unique style.
Nidus Worm, I think, draws nothing at this point. So
Okay.
bit rough there for Yarla in terms of, draws card draw, and then it no longer draws cards by this point.
So Nick Drake has to set about thinking about how to get some armor, because he knows about the 3 deal 6s. So he's either got to get armor or win the game. And he has the opportunity to get 3 owls. And he can push 6, which is getting very close to that 27 I talked about at the start. If he can find a spell.
Yeah.
Plenty of spells in the well as well. Can do damage.
I think just gonna get this set up with all the locations. Next turn you can do a bunch of copies of Arcanite Defense Crystal or Owl, right? I think this is potentially an Owl setup because
It is, yeah.
you just press the Well of Eternity and say, all right, give me burn.
Yeah, and if you get it, you play the owl, and if you don't, you cry a bit and see what you've got, because
Well, then you try and
you're
get
going to have
some
a lot
value.
of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's actually very close depending on what this well gets.
Have you considered more amulets? Pupil looks less scary when there's no Rangari Scout to back it up.
What to choose?
Yeah.
I think he was hoping for just Neri to end the game.
I'd imagine so,
next
yeah.
turn.
I like ending games. Takes this maybe looking for deal 3 and freeze, something like that. Guess
There's
I'll get
deal
to find
3.
out.
Draw a card is probably the pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, just gotta put stuff out there.
Right.
Okay.
What nonsense is going to happen?
Well, I don't think we're playing Lady Azara at this point.
How much damage does he need? He needs 30, right? 35,
Well,
there's 5 on board already, so he needs 30.
There's the issue of board space, right? There's no way to kill off this 5/5. So you
Oh, yeah.
can't actually get a second copy of Owl.
You can only get 2 owls. So let's see what the stuff does anyway. Oh my goodness. There's a bolt.
There's a bolt. There's also a give your minions +1/+1 and elusive, which is kind of neat. You could just summon a couple things, refresh 2 crystals, give them elusive. There's card draw if he wants it in the vacation planning. Well, or the pre-soli spell that I'm blanking on the name of.
Okay, he's just drawing.
Yep. And then buff these up, maybe. Yeah.
Sure. Yep.
Kind of unnecessary to. Oh wow. Okay, so that was interesting. Just not going for the board buff and just making more space to draw some more.
Oh, he got the ebb and flow, so that's a
Yep.
lot of damage set up.
Yeah, and Nick basically saying, well, we're gonna make this a damage race rather than me trying to, set up a bunch of armor,
Yep.
which is a bold move, honestly. I would guess next turn he's expecting to hydration station or something to get the Ziliax back.
Guessing so, yeah.
Unless he has enough damage with just ebb and flow, but I don't think he's there. I think he's going to be relying on another Well of Eternity if he's going for the Aulonius plan.
Look. See, press the right button. I can. So yeah, there's 1 ebb and flow left in deck out of only 8 cards. So the possibilities are there for 2 lots of 27 pretty soon.
Lurker, pretty great pickup here for Yarla. Able to make a good sized board and try and protect that Lurker.
Yeah, we need to be awake as well, actually, because the 3 amulets do represent 18 without Niri.
Yeah, and so
Nick Drake is,
next turn, that's just
yeah,
enough.
that's
Unless
what you're on
Nick
about, right? Yeah.
heals out. Is Ceaseless active? I mean, there's second ebb and flow, but
It's 1 mana short.
yeah.
There's no way, right? There's no way of doing like 9 damage.
I don't think so.
Yeah, if only he hadn't bolted his own minion. I mean, he did it with reasons, but yeah. Because you
I mean,
don't
I think,
get to
you
keep
take the ebb and flow, but then you... Has he played a minion to activate the armor side of ebb and flow yet? I don't know that he has.
No, I don't think so. So I think you stay alive this turn and you win next turn in the world where you're not dead. That's the plan
Right,
here.
but I mean, he has to copy the Ziliax, but there's just no board space.
Yeah.
So,
So he's basically dead here. He's not dead, but there's 18 in hand plus press the button with loads of Zergs. Oh, now
never
he's
mind.
dead.
That was never. Yeah, that makes it easy.
Yeah, we don't have to work this one out. That's so much damage. Yala's going to go 2-1 ahead.
I was
And
like,
this
oh,
Druid deck.
I guess Yarla has to hit into the 1/5 and hope that one of the lurker shots goes face and
Yeah, all that,
gets enough to
exactly.
18. Nope, just draw near, easy 36. Not a
Wow.
problem.
And again, we're going to see a lot of this Druid deck today, and it needs to do better than it has been. That felt really close. That felt like there were ways for Nick Drake to win that game
Yeah.
for sure. They just didn't happen.
It felt a little bit like Nick couldn't decide what his game plan was. You know, like there was the looming Owlonius lethal potential, but then also these ways you could have gone more in on the starship and defensively, and like maybe that's kind of the big drawback of having the owl is like you need to pick a plan and figure
Yes,
out
yeah.
the best way to execute it, and it felt like you sort of would lean towards one direction and then towards the other, and the starship taking up a space on the board is a big deal if you're going in on that owl plan.
Yeah, there was a lot to calculate there, as you say, and I think he sort of fell in the middle. He did have it to do. Like he's going along quite nicely. The Grifter's been used. It's all been sorted out, and then off the top, Grifter deal 6 3 times. It's like that's a hard thing to recover from in 75 seconds. Like to make out your new plan, and not only that, but your plan then involves pressing the well and having a load of random stuff that you then have to adjust to. If it's not lethal. You have to work out what on earth you're going to do with all that stuff in 75 seconds as well. So, understandable, but I do agree with you that I think that he sort of steered it down the middle of 2 different plans, and that didn't help him. Whether he would have won or not is unclear, but yeah. Yala just down to the warrior himself now.
Yeah, and it being this, just full control warrior, I think
Yes.
might actually put him in a little bit better position because you do have access to Ceaseless. I mean, maybe it means that Nick would be even more in on the full owl plan, but taking a break from the druid for the warrior almost mirror.
Thanks, Nick. Honestly, these mirrors, again, I haven't seen it with the tortillas and stuff, but the tortillas. But I think these mirrors are quite interesting as long as there's not hundreds and hundreds of them in a row. I think there's quite a lot going on, especially in the end game, when the quests are resolved. So
Yeah.
be interesting to see how they balance the fact that Yala does have the hydration station, that Nick does have the hydration station, the fact that Yala does have the traditional stuff going on. How they keep their hands empty, how they keep their minions on board, how they push bits of damage, how they accumulate armor, and then how we find out if any of that matters when they do the quests and start looking for the time walk.
Look, if you just fast forward through the first 10 turns, then it's kind of a fast matchup.
Yeah. I don't disagree, but I remember Banter said that once on a Chinese broadcast he was talking about. And then it just went on forever. But yes, in general, I do agree with you that after the first 10 turns of doing this little dance that you do, it becomes quite fast and quite interesting afterwards as well. There's quite a. Sometimes it doesn't matter, but a lot of the time, you know, you can get yourself just out of range. You can go for, well, I'm not getting my time walks, I'm going to accumulate a lot of armor. You can make sure your portals are in play, for instance, to get, you know, infinite imps to stop your opponent from just running over you. Little bit less interesting now. Elise is less of a thing, but yeah,
Yep.
still quite like it.
Yeah, and blessedly, you know, when your opponent is not presenting that much, they're going pretty fast here. You know, they're going at a pretty steady clip, because I think they know there's only so much they can do in these early turns to sort of set themselves up. You know, Nick is looking for Tortola, right, to do that with the Chem Spill, and that's kind of his big play. Yarla just throwing out the ham on curve, which is probably, you know, potentially something we see from both. Ziliak's a decent hit.
Big hit, yeah. Yeah, I've never seen Yarla play this quickly, even when the turns are sort of straightforward, so good to see.
And this is actually really awkward. Nick, no way to remove, so Ham's going to hit again. His hits Bob, that's fine.
Ham's going to hit again. It is now anyway, yeah.
Yarla's only way to clear this is to Hostile Invader Precursory Strike, unless he wants to roll the dice on the brochure.
Yeah. He might want to do that. He's got. This is a really tough decision, I think.
Just gonna do it this way so he doesn't trigger the spell burst.
Yep.
Of course. There's
Oh,
the
it's
Tortola.
Tortola.
All right, big hit. So Hydration Station is turned off for Nick. Only has the 1, but now it essentially does nothing because there will not be a Ziliax, there will not be a Tortola. That reduces his armor gain potential and makes it really all about the
regular stuff, the quest.
Yeah, the quest stuff, right? Like who gets Barnabas down and is able to reduce what to 0, who finds time warp fastest. You know, I suppose in some ways, like, complexity is removed by the Murazond because you don't have to worry about, like,
Yes.
how much armor are you gaining. It's just who ramps the fastest or discounts, you know, the correct things and finds time warp to be able to do that play of Murazond time warp.
Yep, and they both have it. I mean, I think most people do, but I always like to check. They both
Yep.
definitely have the mowers on. Which, like you say, does remove some of the intricacy, or makes the intricacy a little bit less relevant a lot of the time. It's always relevant, right? It's always worth doing the intricate things, and then, you know, you have to hope that they matter in the end.
But, you know, a lot of why the deck has, like, Ungoro Brochure, which is, you know, not like a premium draw spell. It's just,
Right.
well, it targeted draws minions, which, before your quest, hits the big things like Dracorex and Ziliax and all these particular minions that you want to protect yourself. And then after quest, yeah, you want to find your Murazond, you want to find your Barnabas, all those
Yes.
sort of things, so...
Yeah, makes sense. And with that in mind, we should be, you know, and we are keeping an eye on how many cards left in deck as well. Nick has got it down to 13 already. Fighting with the urge to waste mana versus, you know, a minion that could be useful later being out of your hand. But I want to get the 8s and 9s out of my hand personally in these spots. I realise that later on it might be really useful in some situations, but yeah, just spend the 8 mana, get the card out your hand, make space for some other things to happen.
There's also not a great response to this for Nick, right? And Yarla kind of knows that, I think. There's no Ziliax or Tortola, which means it's basically the other Shield Slam. And other than that, it's just going to be pretty awkward to remove, which means Yarla can sort of safely develop the Unleash the Crocalus for that extra armor while just drawing further with the brochure.
Have a bit of a turning point in the match. We just don't know which way it's going to go. Where Yarla there was quite happy to play the Dracorex, as we described. Nick was like, no, I'm going to play my sleep and just draw cards. And then Yarla raised an eyebrow when that happened. And just acknowledging that was an option that he didn't really fancy.
Yeah, Nick kind of made the hand space last turn to do that, right? It's just like, well, my hand is air because, half of it doesn't do anything anymore. And he just needed to pick up a lot of stuff, and that's sort of the flexibility of Sleep.
Yeah, superb card. I love Sleep Under Stars. Might be a little bit too powerful sometimes, but I played a lot of games of Druid with it in particular. And yeah, the versatility, the fact you can sometimes just sit there and gain 15 armor to buy a turn if you need it, or make mana with it, or like we just saw, get cards and mana and dumps things. Yeah, lovely. My sort of thing. Yeah, perhaps I should do that too. Okay.
Does have the timer going. And the advantage to using Sleep for the draw is that you then get to save your brochure where the targeted draw is more important. If you have draw spells,
right. Yes.
Once the quest is completed, you just draw Time Walk.
Yes, yeah.
I think it's
That makes
basically
sense.
Time Walk and the Crystal Caverns.
This is one of my fun learning experiences about this mirror is when do you play the Bulwark? Well, it turns out you just play it because later on you get Still Furious, which you just want to play instantly.
Yep.
So you just play the Bulwark basically any time you like. It doesn't matter, just get it out your hand. It's not quite that straightforward. It never is in Hearthstone. But it's a lot more straightforward than I thought when I first saw it. Just get it out your hand.
And they're doing the how do I make hand space dance.
Yeah, and the dance gets tougher as it goes along as well. I mean, you just drew all these cards. What did you think was going to happen, folks? Obviously, you've got to draw the cards. You want to empty your deck out, so your deck is full of nice quest rewards and nothing else when you get there. But it does amuse me that you spend half your time filling your hand and the other half being sad that your hand is full.
So, it's potentially Crocolis into For Glory, followed by, just Dracorex kills the Crocolisks.
Yeah.
Play a Shield Slam if you have to.
I feel like every card in this deck just works on the fact that Crocolisks have a downside.
I guess you can Safety Goggles for the hand space. I honestly would maybe be tempted to just Shield Slam one of the Crocolis, ship
you go.
everything else face.
Yeah, I think I'd have shipped this face rather than...
Well, I guess
face,
protecting Bulwark, right? That's a reason not to.
Okay. Yeah, okay, sure.
Bulwark does stop infinite damage, so, there's that.
It does. It's pretty hefty, actually. Yeah. Draw, giving your opponent minions. Works for me. Quests are going to start being completed next turn. Hooray!
And really good to have New Heights in preparation for that. Just shy of enough mana to be able to play New Heights plus Ziliax, which I feel like would be worth doing just to make things awkward. But it might be New Heights and For Glory.
Yeah. It is really irritating.
Let's see if the
So there's the New Heights.
remaining
I
cards
think you're
works
right.
here. So we've got for Yarla, it says there's no minions left. It's Shield Block, Safety Goggles,
Okay.
Brawl, Brochure. So, yeah, I mean, having access to all you can eat for next turn means that Yarla can pretty much guarantee drawing. Well, I guess it's between Barnabas and Galvadon, right? But it's a lot of cycle. It's always a big deal, what you get off those first two that the Barnabas just gives you, or not Barnabas,
Yes, yeah.
the quest
The
reward
local-
just gives you. don't actually know Latorvius. Latorvius is the name.
That's it. I would never have got it, but I was saying that's it as if obviously.
Ah, yes. I forgot that this was an option, and now that I see it, I wonder if it should have been done earlier.
Or later.
Yeah.
Okay. So next turn is 14 mana, so yeah, time walks and stuff works.
Yep.
Keeping an eye on the ceaseless count. Is a thing for Yala here. What is the most flammable? Never clocked that. It's kind of funny.
Right. Gonna go ahead and get those two. Right. There's Barnabas. Although I guess Barnabas doesn't matter so much when you've already drawn your Murazond, right?
Sure, yeah, that's fair. But
Time Warp immediately to
Oh.
hand. That's a
Yeah.
big edge for Nick. And so
Nice.
Yarla's going to be protecting this bulwark as much as possible.
absolutely.
And meanwhile, Nick puts up his own.
Will he swing? He might swing.
He might swing. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, that's well. And I think that signals to Yarla exactly what's going on. And I don't think there's anything Yarla can do about it. Right? All he can do is try to win this turn, and he doesn't have the mana.
Yeah, can he set up an old school lethal? Like he's got what? He hasn't got anything in hand because there's a bulwark in the way. He can't do any damage. Okay.
So he has to. I think he has to ceaseless and set up Ziliax this turn.
Yes. Yeah. For the taunts, at least. I agree, and it looks like that's what he's going to do, judging by this. Is there any way you can get rid of the next swing as well? He's going to go for exactly what you said here.
Yeah, and has to play the draw, and just hope that it. Whoa, whoa.
Wait.
Okay. I mean, I think he's just dead.
I think he just dies, yeah. It's just
Yeah.
Mo's on time walk, hit your last charge. Yeah.
I mean, he did not know that there was a time warp. I felt that attacking with Nick's bulwark was pretty telegraphing.
Same.
But, it's easy to say that when we actually have the time warp in front of our faces.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be there. Like, Nick can set up to be top decking it as well. He doesn't have to have it just because he attacked. Like, he could be attacking in case he draws it.
Right. It could just be,
could still be the right play.
Mine has more charges and I need to reduce yours. If I'm going to do this eventually, I may as well do it now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think that's going to be a tough one to be sitting on for Yarla.
It is. And now it's back to 2-2. As if by magic, really. Came from nowhere.
And it's going to come down to the druid, right? Like,
I kind of fancy the druid into the warrior, I'm not going to lie. I kind of think that it just has so many options to do chunky damage, like the first 4 or 5 turns where warrior is weakest. Sure, the druid doesn't do a lot, but then the warrior doesn't. It deals with mid-sized things really well, but it doesn't deal with endless 8/8s and damage from hand, and then the owl's just sitting there waiting for you. And the warrior, I think, might have trouble against this druid.
particularly because the way this warrior is set up is to kill you with the quest, right? To kill you with Time
Yes.
Warp Murazond. And you must give the opponent at least 10 turns, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think probably 11 or 12, because you just don't get your quest reward until that condition is met. And Druid can do a lot in 10 turns in terms of their own
Especially as
setup.
it knows it's got 10 turns. It hasn't even got to
Right.
panic. It hasn't got to like try and kill you and hope it's got 10. It knows that the warrior, especially without the Tortella, like nothing is going to happen.
Yeah.
Let's have a look if it's as easy as it sounds. Somehow it never is.
Has ended.
Okay. Pretty awful looking hand, but again, it's all fetch, so it'll be okay.
Yeah, no ramp in sight for either player, which is a big deal. Ooh. Kind of don't want any of these.
Yeah.
But what do you want to put on the
agree.
bottom of your deck? I guess Stargrazer.
Stargrazer, because it would get fetched back. The Well's actually surprisingly good in this. I don't think it was particularly good in the other version, the older version of this deck, like the one from a couple of weeks ago. But I think Well is quite good in this. Okay.
Interesting. That would have been the last one, I would think.
So,
I
because you
would-
can fetch it later anyway, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Well,
It's going to be a while, but Amadrizzle solves all awkwardness.
Okay, acceleration aura maybe?
I
What?
like the
It's,
5
it's
drop.
student. Nope, it's student.
Yeah, I like the student here. You get to copy your Amadrizzle.
It's I
I got it right. I
suppose
said it right for the first
I
time ever.
suppose the argument for these lines are like, well, I could get the Stargrazer later, but I haven't got Oaken Summons or the Tortolan Traveler, so maybe I won't. I could take the acceleration aura, but I want the scrapbooking student. Like, Nick is very confident in his plan, which is to play location, copy location, and then get a Stargrazer out and start copying Stargrazers. And I think that's reasonable, right? They're really hard to deal with the elusive.
That is reasonable, yeah. They're hard to deal with, and you just do so much damage. So Amadrizzle, possible? Oh, we just go for the full everything. Okay.
Yeah, just taking his time. Because it might be the coin that's activated on the first round of Stargrazers.
Okay.
Right? Like if
Sure.
you actually wait until 8.
No, sure.
All forms of life will be crushed.
So, looking at
Ooh.
Yala's hand, he has got ways of dealing with multiple Stargrazers, but they're not pleasant, like Brawl, Dracox, Invader. They kind of do it, but in their own sloppy, not really very useful kind of way. Yeah.
I feel like this is such a tough choice because, Amirdrasil, you generally want to get down as early as possible, right?
Yes.
But I think he wants to play both Scrapbooking Student and Lady Ajara
Yep.
before
Yep,
the
yep.
Stargrazers come down.
And you've got to decide what you're going to copy. I mean, you just went through it a moment ago about copying the location that's currently in play is probably the best play, but Amirdrasil is so good to copy. You get so much mana later on.
A true queen defends her people.
Go back to the basics of what did I build my deck to do? Okay, I'll
Yep.
play it in that order, and that makes sense to me.
Could have made the copy there just for stats on board. I think it's fine either way in this matchup. But, you save a lot
Sure.
of value by getting 2 of the 3 durability location. And there's just a lot of comfortability when you don't have to worry about Demolition Renovator.
Do you just do the first ones now? Just say, can you deal with a 2020 right now? Do it if you can. If not,
I
you
mean,
lose.
maybe. I think if your plan is to play a Mirdrasil next turn, and then
Yeah.
Stargrazer on 8 with the coin
With
to activate,
coin.
then yeah, you
Yeah.
do this now. If the plan was to next turn coin out Stargrazer, then you would wait. But yeah, I like this.
Yeah,
you
this sort of, they work together, right? This helps you make that other plan because you, what do I do
Right.
next turn? Oh, I play a Mirdrasil. That'll do. Oh, I'm okay with that. And then, yeah, work backwards from a Mirdrasil into Stargazer. And, oh, Yala has a big issue here.
In all respects of the word, yeah.
Can take 15 and shield slam the 2020.
Yeah, the thought did cross my mind. Yeah. Because the other thing is like, well, if you brawl, you could lose and still take 20. You could take 10. You could take 10, which is not much less than 15. It's really about trying to hit the 5, and they're not great odds. So maybe just guaranteed take out the 20.
All forms of life will be crushed.
Yep. This works.
Does.
Planetary decimation.
Take 15.
And actually, with the ebb and flow in hand, I mean, yeah, take 15, and Nick is remarkably close to just owl lethaling.
Yeah, this is the thing, right? There's so many threats in the deck. We've talked about the owl and all the nice things that can do, but it is backed up with other threats. It doesn't need to do huge amounts of damage in the world where 27 isn't a huge amount of damage, which is the world we're living in this tournament. But if it's doing 27 and your Stargrazer's doing 16 and your minions are doing 15, suddenly 27 becomes a nice huge number again. So, yeah, the deck is just doing chunky damage from all sorts of different angles here.
Time is of the essence.
Sure. You're so burning a card, Nick. But I don't think it matters. You're okay with it. Okay. Didn't want to burn a card. Kind of like the Stargrazer double copy setup myself, but he's got a different plan. Okay. All good. I don't think you're going to miss a huge amount there. There's the 10-4 and 1-5 on Nick's side still. Yara has some planning to do. Draco X would clear. Oh, it might be guaranteed that Nick hits the other Stargazer. Let me have a quick check on that. Which is why he didn't mind using the coin. Basically, he burned the coin. I don't know if you saw that, to make space in hand, I think. But so he didn't burn a card. But I was thinking maybe that doesn't matter. Minions left in deck. There's still a few. Yeah, there's still quite a few, obviously. There's the defense crystals. We do know that, yes. Well, you know that because you're smart to remember things. I didn't know that because I have a memory like a goldfish.
Yeah, but I mean, this is just huge, right? This is what Nick was building it all up for, is make, 32-32 elusive, no more, massive armor shield slam shenanigans.
Yeah.
Because Yarla's not on the version with, cheating out minions, this is not the poison Ziliax, so there's no way to poison the 32.
Still like the idea that I could do a load of damage with a coin here, but okay.
Yeah, yeah, it's nice to have, right? That's an extra 24 that sets up nicely for
That sets
Owl
up
or
for sort
something.
of Owl in 2 turns' time, right?
Feels probably worth burning a card, but yeah.
Time to reiterate something that Sottle and Raven said all those hours ago, though. That these players have come through 6 rounds of Swiss. All the players you're seeing today have come
Yeah.
through 6 rounds of Swiss. If
Very
somebody
true.
does something a bit obscure on a deck that I don't know very well and they do, the chances are they're the one who's got it wrong.
Well, and, I suppose another reason to get rid of the coin, right, and make that hand space is that, you know you've got the Amir Drasil refresh coming up as well. So, just trying to set up with the Owl, potentially, right? Making sure you've got enough stuff to do that. Although, I mean, you can kind of even just take things slow here, right? You can Hydration Station, and that will activate this Stargrazer. I don't think Nick has to save too many pieces.
Eight combatants enter, and I take
Yeah,
the
that's fair.
crown.
Time is of the essence.
None of those are terribly appealing, but I suppose Nick wasn't really interested in particular option, just sort of making hand space and getting stuff on board.
Yeah.
This is definitely one of the most board space management decks I feel like we've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. All the time it's like, well, how do I get my 3 owls into this?
Oh, and
Double press in hand is...
Yarla
2
knows there's
25s.
more copies to come, so giving up this last, Crocolus Brawl is not appealing. Only 12 damage out of Ziliax, though.
Yeah, this is where we talked about the setup of this deck infinite times, but this is where you get to see the reason the Owl is in there, because it's not necessarily getting the lethal on its own, but it's all the other things that are doing the chunks as well. Nick's only sort of hit Yarlo on like 3 turns in this game or something like that with any sort of force, and it's massive every time.
Yeah, I think this is kind of the best you can do. And, I mean, maybe you set up the Crocolist just for board, like to lock up board space, but I guess...
So that is lethal, right?
I
We've got
think it
double
has to
press
be.
in hand. So
Yeah.
trade, play the Owl, press the button twice, your press does 25, then you press a major seal, get 2 more mana, and you play the other press for
Yeah.
another 25, and some swings and some other bits and pieces that go on as well.
I think there was potential to do it, I mean, maybe it doesn't matter, but there's potential to clear up more board space by swinging in with the Bob first, playing the Owl, and then you can, when you activate a Mirdrasil for the refresh, you can give the thing you summon a rush to rush that in. But yeah, it doesn't matter. This is more damage than Nick needs. Yeah,
And yeah,
I guess that's what it's for.
Yarla missing out on Masters Tour. Nick, who again was dominant through the first 5 rounds of the Swiss, at least. Nick and Monkey Flip as well, both going 5-0 with this exact lineup. The implication being they work together. I don't know that for fact, but I'd be absolutely amazed if they didn't like test together and come up with this lineup. Gets through to the Masters Tour, and we're going to have somebody who I feel is quite innovative in that Masters Tour with this lineup, because again, this was after APAC played. We see more stuff like this in Americas, but that's because they looked at this lineup and went, that looks good. So I'm crediting Nick Drake and Monkey Flip with coming up with this lineup. at least to some degree, and we're going to see him in the Masters Tour. So how do you feel about that? You happy with that one?
Yeah, I like to see sort of lineup shakeups make it through, right? With the Egg Warlock, which got banned, but still a different deck, and the Protoss Mage. It's such a wide open meta. These players had, the most stressful 3 days of their careers, right? Just trying to come up with decks in after the massive balance changes of the Franken meta. So, props for coming up with this one, and it seems to line up very well into that location lock in particular.
Absolutely, I am with you 100% on that. But the viewers won't be. The viewers will want to see more Hearthstone action. So let's get out of here. Give everyone 3 minutes. We set up the next match. We are halfway through, so don't go anywhere unless it's to get yourself some more popcorn. We'll see you very soon.
Hello everyone and welcome back. We're ready to get into our next match. I'm Raven and joining me for this one is Sottle. It feels like long time no see. It's many moons ago we started the show with the first match. How's it going? What have you thought of the decks and matchups we've seen so far?
Yeah, it's been a good day so far. Been a little bit of variation. As I mentioned in our opening series, we had 8 different decks. Then we kind of moved forward. We saw the core 4-deck lineup come into play that the meta's built around, at least in APAC and Europe, a bit more than America. So I think we're a little bit more reactive to what was going on earlier in the tournament. But now, honestly, coming back into stepping back up to the plate for us, we've got another couple of interesting lineups here. We've yet again got a Quasar Rogue lineup where the Quasar Rogue is getting banned, so we're not going to see it. But Asuna on the other side, all sorts of nonsense. There's a Starship Druid, we've got Quest Warrior in there, which is probably the most normal of the decks, but then also just triple blood Starship DK thrown in there as well. Just all sorts of heavy control archetypes thrown together, but not the common ones that the other players in the tournament do seem to be favouring. So yeah, we've had a lot of variation, which I think is to be expected when you've got the grenade among the pigeons meta that we're in at the moment, where it's just like, here's a bunch of new toys, some of which bring back like what you got a problem?
Is that how that phrase goes? The grenade among the pigeons.
Don't throw grenades at pigeons. I'm not advocating that for a second, but moving on.
I'm just not sure if that's the common phrase I thought it was. I thought it was something different, but never mind.
It definitely is. But it's some of the cards that have been brought back, like create brand new, bring back old archetypes on their own, right? So suddenly this archetype that just hasn't been played is back. And then some of them are like, oh my goodness, this existing archetype that's already powerful, now it's even stronger because we can slip this package of cards into it. So you've got all of these options and different routes to go down for your deck building that I don't think there's any great surprise that there's very little homogeneity in terms of lineups in this tournament so far.
Yeah, and we do see from Asna that the definitely strikes me as a player, and we have had these players, throughout the many years of Hearthstone esports that just says, I'm actually just going to do my own thing, right? I'm going to play the decks I think are good, because we have the complete opposite of that quite often, where players are like, okay, here are the stats for the deck. I'll play the 4 best decks with the 4 best stats, right? Like that's definitely one approach. And then there's the middle ground, but we have had some players that do just approach the game and these are the decks I think are good, I'm comfortable with, and I think they've got a good spot, so I'm going to run them regardless of whether the competitive community have decided that they're the good decks or not. We do see this with, like you said, this Druid, for example, in the lineup, so it'll be pretty interesting to see how this one goes.
Perdón por el casteo en inglés, es que ya no transmiten en español, así que este es el modo que encontré.
But we've also seen some decks struggle, right? We've seen, for example, at least I've caught almost all the matches today, but like Warrior has not ever looked completely dominant in any particular game, right? It's look like you can get the job done, but it looks like you've got to put some work in there for the players who've brought at least the soft standard Warrior we've seen so far. And I think that's one to look out for. And I think Warlock feels like it's maybe not been as dominant as people thought it would, at least again just in the few games we see on stream, right? It's not like this is a comment on the whole archetype as a whole, but seeing Warlock look a little bit tougher in some matchups than I think people expected.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like Greed is coming out king in this one, because we've seen Warrior somehow getting fatigued by aggressive decks in matchups where they're not keeping the quest, right? Which is now kind of tilting Warriors towards perhaps keeping the quest and having that extra value available. Warlock has, as you say, like the location Warlock, the location Seaside Giant Warlock, has felt like a deck that just kind of goes, okay, here's my stuff, it's on the table, and then it gets dealt with, and there's very little reload after that. Whereas all of the other decks, the Starship Shamans, the Location Druids, the Egg Warlocks, which have been getting banned largely on stream as well for today, those have recursive threats over and over again, not just in terms of death rattles and literal stacks of recursive minions, but they have refills and reloads, and they can keep going. So it does seem like that's kind of the key right now, is either you're quick enough to cause some damage and can keep value going throughout the long term, like some of these spell DHs are successfully doing in some of the matchups against Warrior that we've seen, or you try and win the arms race in terms of greed.
Todo bien, Jonathan.
All of the other decks, which again goes to show with the variance that we have, the variation, that we have in the meta, because even with the rarer decks like Location Druid, for example, we've seen in multiple series disagreement as to what the win condition is, or whether you need a win condition at all, which I think speaks to the turbulence and the infancy of the meta, because in a settled meta, we would have gone
Vamos
through
a
that
ir a
process 6 weeks ago, right? And
campos de
everyone would
batalla
have agreed,
enseguida.
okay, is it Owl? Is it Dread? Is it none of the above? And you just get there with stats. And everyone would have decided on that already. And there'd be one or two outliers, but generally everyone.
O seguimos con la transmisión
Numbers have backed
del
it up
torneo.
as to what the
¿Qué
right build is
dicen?
to
¿Qué
play.
piensan?
And then you might still get some variation based on meta reads for the tournament, but because this meta is so new, there's still, even on like an archetype where players are agreeing on 26 of the 30 cards, the 4 that are being changed
Jugamos
still do one
Battlegrounds.
stage, multiple
Seguimos con el
matchups,
casteo,
5,
con
6,
la
10,
transmisión, mejor dicho, del torneo.
It's kind of crazy to look at.
O vamos
Yeah,
a
even with
campos de
Hunter, I think,
batalla.
is one of the big ones as well. Do you run the Zerg? Like, okay, I'll put the Imbue Hunter over here for a second. But do you run the Zerg package with the Giants, or do you just run straight up Discover Spell Hunter to an extent? You know what I mean, right? So like, which one's the better one? Because the Zerg one is like sort of a newer approach with this meta, as you mentioned, when you get the older cards sort of rebuffed again. And then
Qué bueno, Jonathan. Sí, yo estaba viendo. No entiendo el inglés, ¿viste? Pero no hay transmisión en latinoamericano.
By the end of today, we'll get that good sort of picture with so many good players, with a lot of these different matchups, just sort of what's looking strong overall. So that'll be pretty interesting, although that is of course going to change in just a few days when the new expansion rotation comes out, so that's going to be pretty exciting. We are getting into game number 1 though. We have Asner up top, and then we have Method on the bottom here, and it is going to be the Death Knight versus the Warlock.
Bueno, se viene el siguiente enfrentamiento. Metodas contra Suna. Primer enfrentamiento.
High Cultist Heron, which is kind of a classic win condition that we've seen from the deck. With the Starship version, just so you can get multiple Starship pieces out of your deck, crash them into each other, they die immediately, they go into your Starship.
Brujo contra Caballero de la Muerte.
Just an iteration on kind of the classic Starship Druid that we saw from that previous StarCraft meta. All relying on the combination of Guiding Figure and Soulbound Spire to be able to summon huge boards of 10-cost minions when you summon your Starship. And then on top of all of that, plus all the additional greed, plus the Corpse Explosions, plus the Threads of Despair for additional clear, there's just a natural kill Jaden in here as well, just to round it all out. So this is one of the greediest decks that you are going to see in the tournament. But honestly, with the way that things have been going so far, I think that leaves it pretty well placed.
Yeah, because when you do look at all the tools it has and the removal available, you do have to think, okay, what's the plan for Method in this matchup? Because you would expect...
How do I kill this again? I'm really not quite sure.
You'd expect the DK to be able to deal with a reasonable number of giants over the course of a few turns.
Yeah.
And then... yeah, that's... sure, because the problem is there's at least a decent amount of healing in this deck, so it's not like, unless you rush everything out, you can hope for like Horizon's Edges to carry, right, and do enough damage. Now that could happen, but it's not something you're relying on. However, getting the double death rattle here with the Ultralis is as good as it's going to get for this early in the game. So the pressure is on Asner to be able to deal with these and not take too much early game damage.
Trying not to panic for now, get that corpse count up. And that does mean that we can start getting the Pterodaxes down to deal with the board state. Asanu going to hold, though, for now. Just leave up the Dark Marrow, which is a pretty significant threat, but largely because of the thing that you've just seen happen. So it's unlikely to punish you again on the immediate turn twice in a row.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? Like, I think sort of talk about what we were mentioning before about the matchup and how it works. Dealing with one of these Ultralis is fine, right? Because if you look at the hand, as you said, there's ways to clean up the rest of it afterwards. And taking 12 sounds like a lot, but with this Death Knight, you can pull it back pretty quickly.
Yep, Vampiric Blood, I think, a card that I didn't mention as well. One of the big reasons why you do specifically want to go triple blood. Vampiric Blood is a 3 blood rune card. Of course, one of the iconic Death Knight cards since the class's introduction into the game. Not always for positive reasons. If you're the one on the
Asuna tiene cara de metalero. De que le gusta el rock. Y Metoda tiene cara de estar nervioso.
It is on 19 already, so relatively low. But even just dropping this Pterodax is looking pretty decent so far.
Yeah, getting it down for 0, holding with the copy location means that you can 2 birds 1 stone this turn and take care of not only the big threat to your health total, but also the big threat that would allow a second pair of giants coming down the following turn.
This is an interesting choice, isn't it? Because you'd probably lean towards Corpse Explosion naturally, but if you're taking care of this giant, do you ever look at Shadows? Because it's going to gain you corpses for the other Pterodax anyway, and after you see some of this clear, it's decent to just put some pressure on. If Method has to Hellfire, okay, right.
Yeah, I was even looking at the Dark Gift card as an option there.
Yeah, true.
¿Quién crees que gana entre
Definitely
Asuna
a
y
decent set of
Metodas?
options for Asuna there.
Oh wait, you were 1 off, weren't you? For some reason, I thought the giant was on 5. It was on 6. Yeah, no, it doesn't quite work. My bad. We were 1 damage off being able to double clear. But yeah, I was leaning towards the Dark Gift because, as you say, you've got limited corpse expenditure at the moment because you probably do want to get down that second Pterodax. The way that the boards tend to look from the Warlock, Pterodax is often a slightly more useful card than Corpse Explosion, unless you can get up to those massive numbers of corpses. But a 1 mana Corpse Explosion, I guess, is just incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
I'm wasting time.
So I guess you've got this 1/1 in play that's going to go down as 6. You can always afford to hero power on the turn that you play the Corpse Explosion, which gets you up to 7. So keeping in mind that you might be facing another giant board in the near future, it's actually fairly easy from this position to get that Corpse Explosion to do 8. So, yeah.
And also not too bad because you're probably not expecting another round of
yo también
Ultralisks
estoy en
this
oro
turn
5.
specifically.
Yo jugaba
so
antes
this is like the gap
bastante,
turn to
luego
get some more
dejé
minions down maybe, and then
y me
set up the Corpse
dediqué a
Explosion for
jugar
the turn
otros
after,
juegos
right?
o
Exactly.
jugaba solo campos de batalla. Y ahí perdí muchas
Just don't
expansiones, muchas
accidentally
cartas.
click the Pterodax even though it's
Y
green.
ahora volví. Hace poco jugaba estándar un poco relevado con campos de batalla. Pero sí cuesta conseguir las cartas para
It is
armar
an ugly
los
turn,
mazos
though.
más
No
meta,
way to
digamos.
effectively spend mana at all here.
Yo
Yeah,
también
can't just
estoy en
hero
oro
power, take
5
the
y
4-1, just leave
juego
the 5-5 on the
Guerrero
board.
Dragón
Not the
estaba
end of the
jugando
world.
de
Probably
H,
going to draw again off the chill fall next turn.
hechizos,
It is the
cazador
end of
de
the world,
demonios,
Raven.
digamos.
You floated 4 mana.
mago
that turn, 'cause in
elementales.
2026,
Esos tres
hero
mazos
powers
estaba
don't
jugando.
count. We all
Y
know.
paladinar
What
un
if it's
poquito.
hero power as Death Knight with Corpse Explosion in hand for 1 mana?
Pero viste que el
No,
estándar
will you
requiere
make
que vos
a
tengas
single
un buen
exception?
pool de
No, absolutely not.
de las cartas.
Okay, what about Niall Hunter hero power? No, see, now I'm making my case a little bit, aren't I?
Yeah, now
Or
we're
Kerrigan
cooking.
hero power. Okay, Method gonna chomp one of these Zerglings. Does get hold of a giant. Does get hold of another giant. Oh, no, okay, going for Horizon's Edge.
Yeah, you do get diminishing returns with giants against Death Knight specifically, right, with the way AoE works. If you're playing 3 8/8s, the 4th one is kind of superfluous at that point, right? Because if they can clear 3, it's probably exactly Corpse Explosion, and then they clear all of them anyway. So then going for the damage makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you see Method even holding back
Esta
the
partida
zero
se
mana
le ve
Seaside, yeah.
complicado para Asuna. Tiene la ventaja.
There's the Corpse Skull in hand and the Hellfire, which is
Joder,
important
cómo
to remember.
resuelve.
Not all lists run Hellfire. So that's a little bit of extra burn damage that's available as well, along with the Corpsicle. So that is something you can bear in mind. If this board isn't fully cleared, Asuna is in a decent amount of trouble.
And I think method here will be relatively clean and set up to expect a corpse explosion. A 1-mana corpse explosion might end up being a little bit ugly. And on top of that, the lifesteal draw for the Nomelia with the copy is going to be worst case scenario, because that is now full detonation, full clear, full heal as well.
Hace 8 años jugaba Hearthstone igual. Lo dejé y está full
Antonidas,
quise regresar y me hackearon la cuenta. Así que creo otro, pero la voy a
I was just thinking,
reclamar.
like, if you get
Dicen
2,
que sí puedo.
yes, you
sí,
can,
claro,
do
puedes
you or
hacerlo.
will you have the corpses? Sure, maybe,
Incluso
maybe
cuando-
not. But like,
Cuando
are
ingresas
you ever
nuevamente,
losing
si
if you've got
dejaste
2
un
corpse
tiempo
explosions in
o
this
te quedas con
scenario
una
with
cuenta
a
nueva,
lot of
te
the
regalan
A8s
un
already
mazo
gone?
para que pueda
Yeah,
puedas
you do have to remember
jugar.
you have other
Yo cuando
things in your
regresé me
deck that you
regalaron el
put in
mazo
there to
de-
spend corpses on as well, including
de
another
H,
corpse
justamente.
explosion, right? So it does open up the world where your hand starts to get really ugly because you're just all corpse
Es un
spenders,
juego
no
que-
corpses.
que lo
So yeah,
juego,
I don't mind picking
dejo,
up
lo
some
juego,
minion
dejo,
generation here instead,
y así
especially since
sucesivamente.
the hand is quite shy on things to just do proactively.
Al Hearthstone.
True.
Pero ahora estoy con
I think
ganas
going
de
to go for the
seguir
other horizons.
jugando más
Does get a empty board to push maximum damage from these.
de dedicarle más horas
I say
para
maximum
llegar
damage. You know what I mean.
a un
Nothing's
rango
dying
más
this turn,
elevado.
but maximum face
Antes
damage.
todos los meses llegaba a leyenda, ahora me quedé muy atrás.
Location, location,
Y además
location.
a partir de determinados rangos ya te van dando menos
They keep
estrellas
telling
de
me. And
bonificación,
yet
así
somehow
que
I
se
ended up in
complica
Manchester. How did
y
that
tener que dedicarle más
You
tiempo al juego.
love it.
Y a veces no se
Just think
puede.
about all those years you took shots at me for where I live, and then you've moved here now. Just think about it. The Great North.
It's the Midlands, really, isn't it?
No, it's heck.
Is it heck? He says, trying to sound
It's
as
not.
northern as possible for the first time in 10 years.
I'll take that as a compliment if you think I don't sound northern, great.
No, I do. It's just the rest of your family. That's the problem.
Wow, what? You see how personal that got everyone? Jeez, just the family attack is crazy.
Well, I do talk
Okay, well-
to various members of your friends and family
Los
now, so I feel
niveles
like I
de
get
poder
away
de
with it.
Hearthstone también
That's true,
incrementaron
actually, yeah.
muchísimo.
Yeah, though there is still the Hellfire Eternal
Bueno, con esa
Layover
carta
can
limpia
help,
todos
maybe
los
not in
meses
this
por los
exact scenario,
cadáveres.
of course, because there's not too much health on the board, not too many of the bigger threats like the Starship, like a Ceaseless Expanse, but still, Method is... It's a weird one when you're at this stage with this deck, right? Because you're still in the game,
Yeah.
but you do look significantly weaker to any deck that can heal, right? Is the problem. Like, you really need this lava from the Queens to get some work done.
But we did see it from famous Belgian Maverick earlier on in the day,
Yeah.
where just a bunch of Zerg minions carried him through multiple turns, just kept the value going in what looked like a insurmountable position at the time.
Oh, gonna get copies, okay.
Here, I imagine. Yeah, no, I like it. This way you can get the guiding figure down as well, because I believe we've only got one in there, and then that means the vampiric blood. It makes a disgusting board here as opposed to just a pretty miserable one.
Yeah, the damage wouldn't do anything. It's only a 10-10, and also I feel like unless you are literally about to die, the armor doesn't really matter most of the time, right? Because the copies end up being armor anyway.
Oh, okay. After the initial Dungar, that went incredibly
También
well for
estoy en
Asuna
Twitch,
because
si quieren
even
seguirme.
not allowing for the
algo
minions that came out,
directos
because
más
they were all death
seguidos.
rattles, the additional spellburst procs could have then landed on any of those death rattles
Yeah.
and continued to just hit the starship and continued to just hit incredibly premium.
This is going to be tough. Ceaseless Expanse coming down now. But
And there's going to be
Yeah.
a full board left behind. That is
Yep.
a fresh 8/7 reborn out of the original starship, by the way.
do you remember this, Saul? Do you remember these days?
Oh, I do.
Not too many moons ago.
Yeah, there's the reborn one.
now what? It's like you need Brewmaster for you to.
Ahora
for
la
the
ventaja la
ceaseless.
tiene Asuna,
And
el metalero.
then- Alright, we've just
Vamos
got
a
to
ver
dodge
cómo
2 more
contrarresta esta
spawns from
mesa.
the reborn.
De todas.
Yeah,
Gonna
just
go
keep on
max
plugging
rush
away.
Zerg.
I don't care about you, some
Did this even get done? I'm shocked if this turn got finished. Because the players are ahead of what we can see. Yeah, I was going
Yeah.
to say. Okay, yeah. Not going to be enough. Asuna takes the first game with the Death Knight. And that is something that I learned very quickly when practicing for this tournament for Quasar Rogue, where clicking locations and having them do their things when you really, really want them to go fast can be a little bit tricky. And I'm not saying it was lost because of the turn ending or not, but I think Methods couldn't really get out of that anyway. But yeah, it is something you have to bear in mind. All these location procs going off and resetting going off. You need to lock those turns in fast because that's where things can go a little bit wrong. But yeah, good game one there. We saw the power of this Death Knight in this kind of matchup, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think if you'd have really locked in and done everything as rapidly as possible, like maybe if the 8-7 dropped the smallest death, like dropped Spire twice, which I think is the smallest death rattle outcome that you could get from that point, maybe you fall clear with all the Zergs and the hero power and all of the location shots. But then you've got no board, no location charges, you've used all of your Zerg minions, so your hero power doesn't do anything. Your opponent's at like 50 odd or whatever they were at the time,
Yeah, exactly.
because all of the death rattles have gone off from the ship getting reborn and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, probably not going to be a great outcome for Method anyway you slice it there, but big victory for the Death Knight. It was real close though, like that big push initially with the Dark Marrow double giant, and then following that up, rationed out the threats really well, always had another wave of 8/8s just ready to come on the following turn. But the removal was just all there from Asuna. I think he was navigated really well through the first few turns, holding on to the Pterodax to get the copy with the location. Did have the opportunity to play it the turn before, but then doubled up, which gets you a bit of extra removal, a bit of extra healing, a bit of extra corpse generation as well, which then turns out to be crucial for the multiple corpse explosions picked up at the same time, and that vampiric blood to proc everything at the end and pull out a range. So yeah, really clean game for the Death Knight, but said going into the series, it looks like that these greedy decks are pretty well positioned, and that is possibly the greediest among all of Asuna's lineup. So no great surprise to see that one getting a win.
Yeah, there is still the Quest Warrior, of course, and the Druid with the Demon Hunter, the Armor Demon Hunter banned out. But the Druid, again, arguably one of the weaker ones. However, because it's this Protoss Druid, there's actually a little bit more early game removal available, and that's, at least from what we've seen, the only real weakness for Druid, right, is if you can just hit them hard early. It's sort of a tale as old as time now, but that is the big thing, is can Druid get to that late game safely enough? But with this, like the photon cannons in there, for example, and a few of the other early game tools that they have access to, it might just be enough. You combine the early removal with like the Time Reavers that we've seen from other players, of course, today as well, and it's looking like it could be a little bit scary, honestly.
For some reason, I feel like the phrase "tale as old as time" has been used a lot during this event, and no one's broken out into Beauty and the Beast yet, which I find a little surprising off the back of it, considering I must have heard that at least 5 times so far. But
oh, really?
Yeah, Protoss Druid, I think it was Pocket mostly that's been saying it. I don't know whether
I was going to say, this might have been the second time I've said it, but I don't think so. I think it's the first today.
Okay. But yeah, Protoss Druid has tickled my interest specifically. Again, just finding a way to take the Location Druid archetype and make it even greedier, which is generally seems to be the way that Asuna's gone with the lineup building for this. Very interesting. Like you said, there is a little bit of early removal in there, but then there is all of that just extra late game packed in as well, because anytime you're leaning into starships, you're then playing Exodar, which kind of exponentially increases your threat generation in the late game, because in slow matchups you can always just go for those 1-mana copies and go again with your big starships. Obviously, when you have a natural location that just copies things, where you don't have to rely on Elise, especially after the nerf, that plays very nicely with starships as well. I think just a lot of people are put off from Druid in general because the Druid individual starship pieces just people don't see as much value in them as some of the other ones. You know, Death Knight in particular have always just seemed to have the most appealing package of class starship minions to throw into this kind of strategy. But if Druid gets rolling, I can really see it running away with things. But looks like we are going to go to the Warrior first. And this is a pretty defining matchup of the last couple of metas, honestly.
Yeah.
It is the Discover Hunter versus the Control Warrior.
Yeah, and this is the sort of standard Discover Hunter, right? You would say none of the Zerg shenanigans, I believe. I'll just triple check. Yeah, it is just the standard one. Obviously, you've got the Windrunner Sisters in there, and the damage that can cause a bit of trouble for the Warrior, because time and time again today, we've seen Warrior, it gets low, and then goes for a recovery plan, because a lot of the time, things like Ziliacs come down, or just taunts in general, but Hunter's ability to say, oh, that's fine, I can just burst you for, you know, well over 25, 30 damage from hand, then that can be a bit of a problem, right? Because suddenly the taunts and the interactions that you have there don't really matter at that point in the game.
Method just weighing up the implications of a turn 1 Ranieri Scout, which I think is very worthwhile here. Not something that is going to be killed on curve, and you do have your natural curve into bird watching and tracking if you would like it. Ooh, now your curve gets very interesting.
Pretty decent Verisa, but with the coin, Xavius isn't looking too bad either.
Yeah, coin. If the scout lives again, then
which it almost always does, right? Like almost.
Yeah. With coin Xavius or coin Grifter, both pretty attractive at this point.
I don't even know if you. Well, obviously the benefit is you get the extra card, right? But the Grifter can be a little bit tricky sometimes this early because it just ends up filling hand space if you can't get hold of like the Naga or anything.
That's true. Yeah,
it can get a little bit awkward because your hand size is limited. Oh, there you go. There's people. Your hand size can be tricky in this deck because you can generate so many extra cards. So I wouldn't mind the Xaviers.
I would favour the Xavius as well for a slightly different. He is going to go well Grifter. Probably the type of people has changed things here, but I think what's also. What can also be a big problem here is, okay, great, you just hit 6 damage, right? But you have also given your opponent +3 tempo in terms of dealing with your board, right? Because they can now just immediately snipe anything that they want on the board. You've given them the answer to your scout if they didn't have that in hand as well by taking the removal, so I would maybe have lent towards the Xavius there before the Typal Pupil draw, but when you draw the Pupil, I think it's way too. Your eyes just light up, and you just see the turn 6. You just see the turn 6 lethal, right? And you have to go down that line.
This is also. Oh, okay. I'm not gonna lie. That Brewmaster had charge, Sol, and you've already got a Tide Pupil in hand. You've got a Tide Pupil in hand, right? You could maybe do something weird with that, like bounce it back and just reduce it again, depend if you just spread out your deal 6s.
But yeah, I do wonder.
Charge, I'm looking at it, Sol. That's all I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah. So with double pupil now, I think Method is still massive favorite in just straight up going down the burn route with the 6 damage. But I would like to go and re-examine the game where, you know, you have multiple 6/5s and like more of a tempo-based minion Dark Gift in play, and you haven't given your opponent an incredibly premium bit of removal to use with the spell burst minion.
Get him. You love to see it.
You're locked in at this point, for sure. There we go. One of those, please.
It's all coming together. This is like the dream. If you're a Hunter player and this is your opening, you're just feeling good about life. Because this is about as good as it gets.
I have no time for games.
Now the interesting thing here as well is how Method approaches the next few turns. Like, is there a sort of turn off to prepare for stuff, or is it going to just start throwing stuff out and spending cards? Because depending on how much Method wants to really milk this sort of discover, multi-discover, replay one, so on, so on.
These could belong to a brand new
It does,
species.
to an extent, limit. Okay. Yeah, just maximize the 6 damage. Makes sense. Even gets the freeze off on the Elise.
Yep, perfect
And
mana
it's
for this
8,000
following
damage.
turn. Yep, you have 3 mana Neri. We've got 4 amulets off the 2 scouts, off the 2 pupils, sorry. Perfectly sets you up for turn 7. I called it a turn 6 lethal that you see up in lights above you. Turns out that Method goes a turn slow and must now be immediately disqualified from the tournament.
Yeah. Amateur. Yeah. Well, Asner's nodding, just going, yep, they got me. This is what it does when this start happens, and couldn't have been a better game 2 for Method there, right? These are the sort of ones you need to sort of wash away a previous loss, of you just get into game 2, curve them out kind of perfect, and just get them dealt with and even up the match to 1-1.
Yeah, some point you don't necessarily need the deep analysis. You don't need to bring a former world champion on to break the game down. Sometimes you just got Hearthstoned and you move on to game 3 in the series.
Sometimes I join and break the game down of get them. Like that's all the analysis we need.
That is sometimes all you need, yeah. But squaring up the series, 1-1. We've got a pair of druids left. We've got the control warrior on Asina's side, and we have the location warlock. So the 2 defeated decks and the 2 druids now left to play out in this one. But an important win, I think, from Method to square that one up. It's not a freebie matchup. It can look like it sometimes when the Hunter does snowball, but that is a matchup that has gone back and forward over time. Throughout multiple metas. I think as people have got better at Hunter and as the Hunter lists have got better, that matchup has swung a little bit more in favor of the Hunter over time, but certainly not a freebie for the Hunter, and possibly one of the reasons why some people might be considering bringing Warrior to this tournament. As we were talking about earlier, there's so much discrepancy in how people think matchups play out in the game right now, particularly when you come to turbulent metas like the one we're in right now. But a big and a smooth and an easy win for Method to square the series up, which I'm sure he is delighted with.
Looks like Asna's going back to the warrior, and Method going to be jumping over to that warlock. So the two loser decks going up against each other. And what do you think about this matchup, Subtle? Because maybe I'm just wrong with this, but I feel like the warrior has a decent go at this, for me at least, but I've been told otherwise.
I think it's pretty close, honestly. I think it is obviously list dependent as well in terms of what your exact setup is, what your rune setup is in the warlock, weirdly, because that's a thing that comes into play with this deck. There is the eternal layover in this version of the deck, which can be a big deal as a swing card in a couple of situations in the matchup as well, because there is the unholy in this version as well. But I think the warrior can certainly get there if he stabilizes, but I think the warrior struggles against the kind of game that Method played against the Death Knight, right? Where it's 3 or 4 quick boards in quick succession. If Method's able to execute that again, I think the Warrior is a little worse at just keeping up with that in terms of removal over 3 or 4 consecutive turns.
That's fair.
But yeah, again, tight matchups, lots of disagreement among even the very best players in the game at the moment.
Well, getting that early ramp is definitely going to help Asna out here. Going to be able to draw a couple of cards as well. Oh, okay. Reduce down a hydration station. Might help a little bit later on, just smoothing out some turns. Bit of a tricky one here for Method. You might just think, oh, just play Horizon's Edge. Like, sure, just do it on curve. But the problem is then what's really your follow-up? Are you then forced into duplicating that location, or a location, should I say? Because I do like this Nidus Worm here. Just give yourself a few more options going forward. going to utilize that 1 mana shield block. Classic into a shield slam. It all starts to make sense.
Well, that glacial shard is dead. No, I'm kidding.
Now with the Dryad, Method does have an option to at least start working towards the Giants.
Yeah, a little bit awkward with the Nidus Worm on the previous turn. I think probably I wanted to consume ideally just because it would allow a better setup with the scrapbooking student consume just to get giants out quickly on duplicated locations with low durability. To actually keep that pressure up over a couple of turns as I was talking about. Without access to the consume, it's a little more awkward to set up from here, I think.
It's a bit rough because even like clicking Nidus and then copying it, well then you don't get the Dryad down, right? So it just doesn't quite slot in smoothly. Although Horizon plus the Dryad doesn't seem so bad. You're still clicking locations, which is the main goal, I guess.
Yeah.
You still have an option to duplicate the Nidus Worm. I'm saying the wrong card.
Oh,
Ultralisk Cavern.
Method.
Did we miss the click?
Missed a -2. The Glacial Shard did not attack face.
Oh.
I mean, the previous one was excusable, and I'll go to bat that that turn was probably not going to go well whatsoever. But that is just straight up roping and missing damage, which can absolutely come back to bite you at this level.
And also, I mean, it might end up being okay, but even specifically missing damage on armor can, well, that could make a shield slam kill a giant or not, right? Like that it could really have a pretty brutal impact.
I must act.
Drop that Eternal Layover, a bit of a wince there from Asuna. Knows it's in the deck, of course, but you just rather, that's like the one answer that's in the deck, right?
Yep, that is the big advantage of having access to that card. In this matchup specifically, that is the #1 interaction that you want to use it for. Otherwise, you can get through it the hard way because 8/8s do trade very favorably into it for a few attacks, so you can get good trades through it, but it just provides such a roadblock for such a long time. And Method's like,
just
okay.
tickles me. Go again, my friend. Go again.
Yeah.
And it is only the one layover. Yes, it is only the one layover. I thought it was, but wanted to just double check, so no chance of that happening again.
And it is such an important card, such an important interaction in the matchup because the existence of this card is why, for example, a few turns ago, Method had the opportunity to just straight up go down the line of play Horizon's Edge on 4, copy it on 5 with the scrapbooking student, start going to town with the pings, right?
Yeah.
The reason why you tend not to do that in this matchup is because you just literally concede to this card if that's your game plan, right? Because you just end up pumping your opponent up with armor as opposed to chipping them down with damage. But having Eternal Layover, you're like, okay, I can go for minions, and then if it comes down to a wall, I can just use the Eternal Layover, I can push through, I can still have a board, I can punish. But then the fact that it just comes back again and you're straight back in the same spot has really just swung the advantage back to Asuna.
I'm interested to see how this one ends up, because I assumed we were getting the copy on the Ultralisk Cavern this turn. I guess not. Oh, this is...
Did the last attack...
Oh,
okay, alright,
no,
okay.
Yeah, this is
right,
getting
now,
bad, yeah.
Right, Method, we're going to have a talk here, my friend.
Yeah, too many slips, and that's a big deal. That's a lot of damage, and it's just simply still alive, and it shouldn't be. Yeah, that's pretty rough. Yeah, not sure about this one. And these little windows we talked about, at least between us, we can agree the matchup is close. these are the sorts of things that will make the matchup a lot less close, right? If there's going to be slips.
I mean, I wasn't expecting to come on after the Yala series and have to deal with the roping. This was supposed to be out the way already.
We've paid our dues on those series in the past. Purely, not even all the years we've cast, just Grandmasters, I think. Never mind all the other times we've cast Yala.
Did I get it right earlier, by the way? I don't know if you were listening. Like, yours and my first World Championship was the same one, and you've missed one since then, right?
I've missed one since, yes. Lion's Win.
Yeah.
And also, just want to throw it out there. It wasn't my fault that I missed it.
No,
it wasn't by choice at all. I literally couldn't go.
No, the talent manager at the time just rang you up, went, Raven, sorry, you suck. I've just realised you're not coming.
Clearly, you were privy to a conversation I was not.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
I got told a completely different reason.
The talent manager called me and said Raven sucks. We're not inviting him. Yeah, I remember now.
Okay, just to put this straight, I was halfway through a visa being done, and when you're having a visa being done, you cannot travel because they have your passport. So yeah, that's the actual excuse.
I did give the real story earlier.
Oh, did you? Okay. Yeah. I was gonna say. Okay, a lot of damage coming out now. There's the double Ultralisk on board. I find the 5/5s quite nice in this list in these sorts of matchups because they're sort of a threat that isn't a threat, right? They do their job when they hit the board, and it's a 5/5 that often isn't a priority target for removal. Slowly moving towards Ceaseless Expanse playability as well.
Go on, take a bite.
Great Eat the Imp target here. Wow, pretty good draws.
Can table flip and push now. I guess a debate here about whether you're definitely trading through and then getting the perfect split of damage to go face, or whether you want to try and use locations and hero power to chip through the minion and then preserve your 5/5 to go face.
Yeah, I was actually looking at hero power and just Corpsicle this turn and don't play anything else.
So what's killing the Ziliax?
Oh, sorry. Basically, this turn, but hold the giant.
Got it. Right. Okay.
Just in case you just get brawled down into a Zergling or something. But still looking good. Down to 3 health. And there is, of course, Corpsicle back in hand again. There's Horizon's Edge we can see. And, of course, the Kerrigan hero power. Very, very powerful. And
tenemos
I
Camorra
see any
o
armor
pelea del lado de Asuna.
Which I think is why you can afford to just play the extra giant and go all in here, right? Is if your opponent is allocating 5 mana to brawl, you have Horizon's Edge, hero power, and Corpsicle in hand for the following turn. Like, they're probably dead if they have to clear this board.
that's fair. That's fair. I do think I just maybe get overly worried about, like, well, if this gets cleared and they don't die, you lose.
Asuna really just digging hard deep in the tank,
Muy
trying to find a
complicado
solution,
para Asuna.
but I'm not sure one necessarily exists here.
Well, this is... no, it just doesn't add up, does it? It's just not quite enough. Because, like, Brawl into Hostile would be nice to soak potential Horizon, but then you're just dead to Corpsicle because you can't armor up, so it doesn't matter.
Yep.
Or is it the classic chemical spill? Concede. We are going to see Method take the victory with the Warlock, though, and just enough, like pushing enough damage, being aggressive enough, And that's, for example, I guess the reason why people sort of talk about how close the matchup is. Maybe I've just been a bit on the rough end of the stick sometimes, but
Match point
the
para
Warlock definitely
de
getting it done.
todas.
But I think
Si
the
gana una
vital thing we
más,
saw there was it felt like
se
the
lleva la
pressure was
llave
just
contra
always on
Sune.
turn after turn, right? Even when there was some removal, Method managed to just keep the pressure on constantly. And I guess that's what you need to do, because those Warrior kind of plays a little bit like Druid to an extent, where even though it has more removal, the early game you are still quite susceptible to just getting hit in the face for 4 turns, 5 turns maybe, before you can really do anything about it.
Yeah, we saw that being leveraged in the first game with the Renio Scout just coming down. Warrior just can't really deal with it. It's not Fiery War Axe times anymore, where your first couple of minions just get deleted.
Si viene el último
You can really
enfrentamiento,
leverage those early board
bah,
positions into
no
a
sé
lot
si
of
el último,
snowballing.
pero
And I think Method showed in the
si
DK
gáname
game
todas una
really
más,
good at
se
like
lleva la
spacing out
llave.
his threats so that he's got multiple waves, timing the death rattles to go off, making sure that you've got wave after wave of giants and 8/8s to come down. And that's the kind of game plan that will pay off against Warrior, because even in the mid game when Brawl and Hostile Invader and so on come online, Warrior isn't huge at big swing turns, right? Like, they still continue to play from behind. You make your big board, yes, they remove it, but it's not until like Dracorex, for example, that they can actually do like a really disgusting swing turn that forces you out of the game, which is something that a lot of other control decks are capable of doing. So if you can just make a big board on turn 5, big board on turn 6, big board on turn 7, you've probably just pushed them back far enough that you'll crawl over the line in the end, even if they have been able to remove those 3 boards.
So it does look like Method is going to have the Druid as the last deck he needs to win with. And this is the Hydration Druid. It has a few tools in here that, again, it's difficult to narrow Druids down by just calling it Hydration because there are different builds. But it does have the Dread Deserter in there as a one-of, so the big charge damage potential is there with the copy locations. It does have the 1-star Grazer in there as well to help out with that, both damage and defense with the armor gain. The double time Reavers, which I think is just guaranteed at this point, and I think those are like the main things to keep an eye on, because those are the main things that change, I feel, especially the Dread Deserter, because you need a different game plan if that's in the deck or not, right? Like, that really changes how you need to approach the game, especially if you're on either now for Asuna, the Warrior, or the Druid, because those are both matchups that are likely to get to the point where your opponent can set up the Deserter.
Yeah, no, that's right. It changes the equation enormously, because you've got to always have that wall of taunts available, quite often multiple taunts. Warrior being able to do that while clearing giant minions from the other side of the board is a nightmare for exactly the reasons I was just talking about, right? Like, if you've ramped up as Druid and you've started to play your Ziliax and your Stargrazer and you're playing Hydration Station, and then all the meantime you've played your Zinajari copy location and you're just sat there waiting for the moment where it turns out being lethal after Scrapbooking Student and you can get a 6, 12, 24 damage all put together. Well, okay, Warrior can go, okay, great, you've played your Hydration Station, I brawl it away, but they very rarely can then put up big taunt or gain massive armor alongside that as well, because they spend their whole turn removing your other big threats. So having that additional threat, I think, will be very valuable to the people in this tournament that have it. Again, just because of the level of overall greed that people have had. To the point where even I think the Owl lists might be very well positioned, just because like they're even more inevitable in terms of the amount of damage that they can output, because they don't even have to mess around with Hydration Stations summoning multiple taunts or Armor DH summoning a million crystals back on the other side, right? They can just shoot straight over the top with the damage from the Owl. So yeah, lots of different variations of Druid, but I do think greed is good when it comes to where we've resolved down to in this tournament.
And now, just looking at, I think the players have just stepped away for a quick second as well, just to take a break before we get into the next game, which might be quite good for Method, because if Method could just shake off some of those turns that happened, then it's going to be pretty good for him to just maybe reset and refocus. Okay, my question is now not relevant because it's not the matchup I was going to talk about. We can talk about that if we go to game 5. But for now, we are going to get this Druid going up against, once again, the Warrior from Asuna.
Keeps 1 wave shaping, does throw away the Twilight Time Reaver, which I think is at least a slight consideration, just because of how totally destructive it is to the chemical spill into Tortola. Now then.
Yes.
You do have Coin, Innovate, New Heights already, and you have Tree. So you actually are not shy on mana. You kind of need things to do instead.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Some method agrees.
So there's Coin Heights, and we've got Vate and Idrisil on the following turn. Get that tree roll in nice and early. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Now then. I was about to do it. I wanted to make this point earlier. I'm not sure if I typed it in chat earlier, but this was a similar situation came up a couple of series ago, where there was a debate between do I get a Idrisil down or do I get Zinashari down because I want to get that played before the late game anyway, right? I have to play Lady Ashara at some point as well before the late game. And I just think you should never talk yourself out of playing a Idrisil, ever. I think if it's available, you get it in play, and them's are the rules. But Method has disagreed on this one. Shows them to get the copy location down first and then curve naturally into the Idrisil.
Yeah, I think that this is an interesting one because just on the surface, is the Innovate going to be used for something else instead of innovating out the Emerdrasil, right?
Yeah.
But there isn't really anything in hand to innovate out anyway, so I think I would have just gone straight for it and just had that sort of half a turn ahead with the location. But yeah, just wants to get it down. Don't have to worry too much.
No. Well, probably would have preferred that to be the Tortola, just because it's more satisfying to deal with. No buff on the location yet, so Method just going to make the wall of 5/5s here just to threaten some chip damage. Certainly makes sense. The more chip damage you can do in the early game, the less destructive you have to be with the Dread Deserter later on. If you can keep your opponent down below 30, then all the better.
I saw that as well.
And Method looked personally offended that Asuna thought he had earned the right to go face there.
Yeah, well, it is an interesting one as well because Hero Power's open. Time Reaver could be used, right? It's a bit silly of probably a stretch on that, but things exist where it makes you not get the value trades with the Ziliax.
Mm-hmm. Nice of Method to wave goodbye to the superfluous location before blowing it up.
Now this is looking scary for Asuna here.
Oh yes,
because it's just everything's just set up, right? And it's one of the interesting things where it's probably the only matchup where location destruction feels relevant, right? Because you'll never hit it, but you stop your opponent just playing it out on curve for fun because they know it can't be destroyed.
So it hasn't been massively common in the tournament, but do you know which matchup I'm personally so delighted to destroy locations against?
Go on.
Colossus Mage.
Oh,
I feel like if you blow up their warp gate, they're just dead. Like
you've gained 10 years of your life, basically.
Yeah,
at that point, haven't
yeah.
you? Like you've literally created time.
There is a little bit of it around. It certainly put a stamp on Americas towards the end of the day yesterday.
Yeah, I was sat jamming games with that last night, actually. Just in case.
Uh-oh. Little bit of a board space issue currently.
Yeah, the tricky part is I mean, it'd probably be fine, but this could just be crystal. Oh. We're just really going in. Okay. Would have Oaken drawn anything? Let me check. It must, right? Yeah, I was just interested of like, is the
method-
10
yeah,
worth more
Tortolan's
than a
right,
card
whatever.
draw? Right, it's just an
Yeah.
interesting thing to consider. But this is saying
Yeah,
to
I'll-
Asuna and Asuna now that like you've got to clear this board, my friend, or you're just gonna die.
Yeah, that's it, right? I think
Yeah.
he's making the board as big as possible so that Asuna can't possibly ignore it anymore. And then once this board gets cleared, Method then has infinite board space to start copying more locations, drawing cards off the third charge of tree, find the Dread Deserter, do anything he wants, right? But
Yeah, next
as long
turn's
as this
really gonna open up.
as long as this board isn't immediately threatening lethal, Asuna can start to say, okay, I'll just board lock you for a couple of turns and get on with my own little game plan over here, find some extra answers. So I do think this makes sense from Method just to force out the extra 10/10 instead of the card draw.
There's Brawl. There currently isn't enough armor to kill the 10/10 with Shield Slam. Okay.
No.
So
Yeah,
you would have had to
10/10
have
lived.
used
He
both.
was in real trouble.
Oh no, there was goggles.
Oh,
That
true.
would've done
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
There was. I didn't see that because I normally only look through when it's 0. but yeah, there was goggles to be fair. But yes, it still would have been a little bit frustrating.
Imagine paying mana for cards, really pathetic, honestly.
What are we, peasants? I don't know. There's Stargrazer. Okay. Quite a nice one to. Oh, yeah, I was gonna say. Do you not want the spell burst, my friend? Because that is a nice one to just throw out there, isn't it? That is a lot of damage and a lot of armor, and yet another board that needs clearing. Which goes back to what you were talking about earlier, right? Like the boards get cleared, but nothing else. So if you could go again. They need to be cleared again, but nothing else. And Druid, at least in this form especially, just had stuff, right? You can just dump stuff on board turn after turn. Obviously, the Ashara boosted location is magnifying that, but guess what? That's what the deck does.
Yeah, it helps when your 3-drop is a 5/6 as well. Can we talk about that?
Very true, yeah.
But yeah, no, you're exactly right. Because if you can force Warrior to spend all of their mana on killing your minions, well, that means they're not spending mana drawing cards, which means they're not getting to their big taunt minions, which means they then don't have mana available to play their big taunt minions, which means they're forced to do something miserable like Hydration Station for a single Ziliax, just to prevent themselves from dying immediately.
And then, okay. Probably looking for
Crucially, it also means they don't have mana to just tempo ham onto the board and potentially disrupt your entire win condition by chomping on your Dread Deserter.
Let's see.
Wait, is there copy location and then innovate hydration here?
Why do we want to do that?
It's loads of stuff, isn't it? I just like
Okay. Sure. Yeah, fine.
I'm just thinking that it's that thing where you get the extra location down now, which with only being on one charge left, I imagine Method wants the third version.
Oh, so yeah, sorry. I thought you meant use the location to copy, not copy the location.
Sorry.
I
Copy
understand.
location, hydration
Yes.
station. Apologies.
I understand.
Yes, I probably should have been a bit more clear.
But yes, my fear with that play is kind of my fear with the play that you weren't suggesting, but I thought you were suggesting, is what you then went on to clarify, which you kind of want these 3 locations
Exactly,
in play,
yes,
just so
yes.
you can absolutely monster the charge minion when you get it.
Yeah. When our powers combine, we get to just about understand what we mean.
One vaguely correct answer.
Yeah, my specialty. Only 8 cards left in the deck right now. Well, there are not too many cards that can actually get Method to the Deserter
No.
itself. It's going to be one of those just wait till it happens scenarios.
4 minions, though, which might end up being a big deal if this ham can come down. Which it can.
Here we go. Multi-breath.
So 1 in 4,
Sure.
as long as we got that right. Okay, dodged. And the ham is dead on board. And a hydration station has already been used. But as you're pointing out, Method is kind of just stuck drawing 1 card a turn at the moment.
But as long as this ham goes down, I feel like at this point, Method's not even in a overly massive rush. Obviously, the quest is still ticking away for Asuna, don't get me wrong, but like, it's not in any truly immediate danger unless the hand from Asuna after post-quest is like God Hand or something.
Yeah. Yeah, you just don't want to sleepwalk your way into a time walk turn, right? Which takes things away
Yes,
from you.
exactly, yeah. I like keeping the Divine Shield on this as well. Just take the damage. Quite like this a lot. Keeping one of the Ziliacs just a little bit more resistant.
Shield block is the draw, so only 1 card available to be drawn here. You could slam your quest reward just to see what you get, with a backup plan of brawl and win the brawl if that all goes horribly wrong.
There's also an element of you can't ignore it, but you can sort of ignore a lot of the damage on the board, because if the charge is drawn, you've lost, right? So, and if you can take the hits on board, you can take the hits, at least for a turn. It's going to be able to get hold of Amara, though, and now Method is just praying for this one minion. Well, let's draw a card.
That does say draw a card on it. Observational skills on point as always.
Do my best.
What if...
See, now I'm wondering if a Divine Shield Protect on the Ziliacs has ended up being a bad thing.
How so?
Just because I can see for glory in the hand for Asuna, so I'm just wondering, do you want to trade the
Right.
whole board off and be
Right.
like, not playing anything, enjoy? Most expensive card draw for you? Let's get the crystal.
Yeah, I was going to say, you do still probably want to get the Oaken Summons played just because it pulls the crystal, so you're now down to a 1 in 3 on the following turn of picking up. You now have Acceleration Aura, which is a total brick, Time Reaver, and of course the Dread Deserter, which wins the game immediately. Has done on any of the last 3 or 4 turns for Method. Not only the game, and the series.
Nothing mind-blowing coming out of this for Asuna here.
No. Does find the all-you-can-eat, though, which does tutor very nicely with the specific quest rewards.
Good old Barney. Aston must be feeling stressed though, because like this is a sort of game that's on a bit of a knife's edge, isn't it? Because both players are like, I'm a draw away from winning. Okay, the crystal lives.
There's no way Dread Deserter's bottom card, right? Surely Hearthstone would never be that cruel.
No, there's no way. And there it is,
right.
finally. Finally for Method, does get hold of the Dread Deserter. Gonna lock it in, been waiting for this card for a few turns now. But that is gonna be, let me just check, approximately, 1 million damage coming out there from this little charge combo from Method. And it was a stressful one, no doubt. There were some slips here and there, but Method has got it done.
And you can see the 1-2 punch of tempoing your location charges out in the early game, right? The most convincing argument for any of this is that you only need one location one charge on your location at the end of the game to copy and win the game. But crucially, on top of that, you get the early pressure from the extra 10-10s and 20-20s and whatever else that you pull out in the early game. And then in the late game, you're much harder to board lock out of the game. Because your locations disappear as you use them because the locations go down, right? So you're self-regulating board space. For each charge minion you summon, a location disappears. You're constantly opening up that board space for yourself, so you can't get locked out of the game that way. Yeah, Method, couple of moments in that series for sure. Mostly just in terms of speed of decision making, which then left him not enough time to be able to complete turns, roping out, missing damage here and there. Some crucial, some not so crucial. But in the end, a very, very solid lineup. You know, a much more conventional lineup than Asuna, who took much bigger risks, I would say, and it did not necessarily pay off. And I think in the end, just a lineup difference able to take him through.
Yeah, and we did see, maybe it's just the matches I'm casting, but we did see Warrior just struggle a little bit again. It seems that a lot of these players have really got the right space with their lineups to just like not really care about Warrior and just be like, oh yeah, if we've got Warrior, it's fine, it's not a big deal. So yeah, definitely something to watch out for the rest of the day. If you are just tuning in, there's plenty more Hearthstone yet. There's a whole region yet. As I imagine more and more America's viewers will be tuning in as the time has ticked on throughout actually seeing daylight in America at this point, so that's always a bonus. But yeah, there's plenty more Hearthstone coming up, so it's going to be exciting to get to that, as we are going to play through all 3 regions today. We've already had the Asia Pacific, this is Europe, and then America's going to be up next. Any names sticking out to you for the Americas, Soto? Any players, specific lineups that you've seen? Because America's, I think, was the one in the up in the air the most, right?
Yeah, America's got a little bit wacky because Europe came along and tried to counter a little bit of what the APAC players did, and then the Americas came along and some of them tried to counter what the Europe players were doing that was countering what the APAC players were doing. Some of them went a step further and wrapped all the way back around and said, well, actually, if we go back to what APAC are doing, the people that try and counter the Europe decks are going to lose to me just doing what APAC did. And then some people are just, classic America's gamers and bringing things that make absolutely no sense to me on surface value. But in terms of players, 2 returning GMs that I have not heard from in quite some time making a run back into it. So looking forward to that for sure. But yeah, still a long day and a lot of Hearthstone to go from here.
Yeah, 100%. We are going to jump to a quick break while we get ready for the next match, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Hello again, everybody. More Hearthstone coming up. Who would have thought it? We're going to come to the end of the Europe section of the day with this final match. It's Monkey Flip, who has the same lineup as Nick Drake, who went through earlier, and Maui, who's been around for a long time. Just to show you a little bit about Maui, just to show you how old he is in the scene. He teamed with, in HGG in 2018, with Janetsky, Vardu, and Zump. For those of you who followed a lot of Hearthstone, some names from the past. And of course, he made the top 4 Summer Championships in 2024, where he lost to Gamer RVG. So, bit from the past, bit from more recent than that. But somebody who's also very recent, Edelweiss, has been around in the scene for 10, 11 years now.
Yeah, but I don't remember those names.
As ever. You don't? Oh, okay. Zump won a DreamHack. Janetsky won quite a big tournament in the Seat Story building, but it wasn't Seat Story. And Vardu, did Vardu win a DreamHack as well? Vardu was just good, basically.
Bueno, vamos a jugar un ratito campos de batalla. Hacer 1 o 2 partidas y después cortamos el directo. Vamos a ir cada 4 turnos de vela un premio de la luna negra. Tenemos por un lado al señor Colmillosaurus y por otro tenemos a Elisa. ¿Hay demonios? No hay demonios, pero sí hay elementales. Con elementales puede estar bien, pero este te da una ruta de juego, así que voy con Elisa. Vamos con Elisa.
En sus marcas, listos, fuera.
Puedo obtener una moneda, gastar poder de héroe, pero no renta. Recién renta gastar en turno más elevados, con nivel de taberna más elevada.
El campo te espera.
Corremos.
¿Y quién va ganando?
Subimos a nivel de
Una mejora
taberna.
del estadio. Estoy revisando tu puntuación. Vas muy bien. ¿Y quién va ganando?
No tengo
Ese
nada
es
que
un
me
novato.
sirva. Hacemos esto. Generamos oro.
Las probabilidades están a mi favor. Da lo mejor de ti. Juego, set y partido.
Vamos con este.
¡Hey! ¡Cuidado! Estoy bailando.
Generamos tempo. Bufamos un poquito las gemas por si podemos ir a Java Spines.
Da lo mejor de ti. Parece un partido difícil.
Le veamos. La verdad que podría vender este y comprar dos. Hacemos así. Vamos a ver qué crono anomalía me sale. Intentamos agarrar una buena crono anomalía para ganar la partida.
Estar a cargo del marcador es agotador, pero me encanta.
Tendríamos que ir mejor que él. Ganamos siempre. Qué poca vida tiene. Y estamos en turno 6. Solo para variar voy a ir con la rana. Hace mucho no juego.
Esa fue una buena jugada.
Vamos así. Estamos a nivel 4. Turno donde podemos encontrar rila, tiburón. Muchas piezas importantes. Estamos bastante bien.
Creo que vas a ganar una medalla.
Necesito llegar a turno. Cinco. Intentar encontrar a Titus. Y encaminar la partida. Ganamos esta. Yo creo que no me conviene forzar esta a subir. Uno que no tengo loro.
¡Público enloquece!
Podría vender uno. Vamos a hacerlo así.
Buena jugada. Toma una moneda.
Ay, 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 ay. Cerca. Ya estamos en turno 5, volamos. Ahora necesito encontrar
Este es mi deporte favorito.
al Titus. Y estamos bien.
Creo que vas a ganar una medalla.
Recibimos 10 de daño. No, no está mal para
¿Cómo va
haber
el partido?
subido a Antier. Silas. No sale Titus. Develamos.
¿Quién sabe qué secretos develaremos? Déjalo en la banca. Toma el oro.
Relax. Pero voy en busca de Titus.
Tienes que poner más jugadores en tu
Me
equipo.
interesa más Titus. Tenemos otro gran. Vamos a hacer así.
Creo que vas a ganar una medalla.
¿Cómo está?
Un espectáculo atemporal. Hay que intercambiarlos cada tanto. Bueno.
Vi uno de los que primero subió. No puedo encontrarlo.
Tienes que reclutar a algunos campeones. ¡Qué gran atleta eres, camarada!
Perdemos siempre. Qué mal los trae. Traen 15. Nos dejan con muy poca sangre. Por suerte nos dan
¿Quién va ganando?
en teoría muerto. Levear no voy a levear. Por más que pueda encontrar luego a Polibrilla. Buscando Titus.
Tienes que poner más jugadores en tu equipo.
Las probabilidades están a mi favor. Las probabilidades están a mi favor.
No hay caso. No hay caso. Probablemente... Espero que no, pero quizás me pegue el que está muerto y nos vamos para el lobby.
A veces hay que tomar decisiones difíciles en el campo de juego. El campo te espera.
Madre mía. No sé si le llego a eso. Ay. Bueno, ganamos de suerte para no quedar en top 8, top 7. Top 7. Bien, top 6.
¡El público enloquece!
No, ya no sale, no va a salir más.
Tienes que reclutar a algunos campeones.
Bueno, acá perdí seguramente.
¿Quién está en el baño? ¿Quién puede entrar al baño? Cierra la luz.
A sacar lo mejor.
Buen golpe, pero no nos va a alcanzar. Nos vamos top 5. Pudo ser peor. Bueno, una partida más y cortamos el directo. La última partida del directo. Vemos si llegamos a las 4 horas. Vamos con el maestro Nguyen.
En sus marcas, listos, fuera.
No pude sacar provecho a ningún poder de héroe.
El campo te espera. ¡Esto enloquece!
Mi duda es, ¿se invoca y ahí le da escudo divino? Vamos a probar. Vamos a averiguarlo.
Da lo mejor de ti.
No. Es primero el poder de héroe.
Parece un partido difícil.
¿Qué tenía? Un elemental.
Haré lo que pueda.
Turno 3. Un explorador. Vamos a ver hasta dónde lo puedo llevar.
Aún puedes recuperarte.
Bien. Empate.
¿Cómo va el partido?
La verdad que... Le vamos a dar estertores. A ver qué tal se nos da.
Da lo mejor de ti.
¿Quién invoca?
¡Gol!
Dame un 6, por favor. Un 4. Es congelable. Quizás sí, ¿no? Mejores muslos que ese en taberna 3. Y muchos no hay. Vamos a comprar. Qué buen poder de héroe. El poder de héroe de Reno. El que hace una copia también es
Da
buenísimo.
lo mejor de ti.
Bien, logramos ganar.
Tu habilidad perdurará por los tiempos.
Relax.
Un resultado curioso. Por las arenas del tiempo.
Renacer no está mal. Puedo hacer un triple. No puedo levear. Ahora sí, hice mal en congelar eso. Nivel a un nivel 4. Bueno, estos se invocan. Bueno, luego se vuelve a invocar por esto. Vamos a hacer así. Por si no lo matan de entrada, se mueve alguno de estos. Y después va invocando.
Estoy revisando tu puntuación. Vas muy bien.
Podré comprar 3 esbirros. Vamos a develar.
Necesitaremos un megáfono más grande.
Menuda mierda. A ver qué nos da. Turno 5. El próximo turno vendemos al explorador y vemos qué podemos hacer. También hacemos triple. 2 turnos consecutivos subí de nivel de taberna. Si pierdo es entendible. Pero no va a ser el caso, parece.
Maravillas atemporales. Lo único que importa es este momento.
Qué mal. Qué mal.
Estás pisando tierra sagrada. Todos alientan a ese. ¡Wow! Un atleta veterano. Creo que vas a ganar una medalla.
Bien. Me gusta. Quizás...
Maravillas atemporales. Por las arenas del tiempo.
Escudo divino.
Ya verás el trofeo que te espera.
Este se va. Este se viene. Quizás sí. Lo vamos a hacer de esta manera. Ya estamos en taberna 6 en el turno 9. Venimos bien, con buena salud. No perdimos combates prácticamente. Así que estamos bien. Última partidita. Estamos viendo el Master Tour de Hearthstone. Y ahora estamos jugando unos campos de batalla. Ya... Luego de esta partida nos vamos... Nos retiramos.
Estás en la cima de la tabla. ¡Gol!
Vamos a comprar este.
Ese necesita entrenamiento.
Este. Ok.
Uno fuerte para tu equipo.
Esto lo quiero también. Vamos a ver de qué me deshago.
Encabezas las tablas.
Uf, qué fuerte va. Va muy fuerte.
¿Cómo va el partido?
Genial. No me di cuenta.
¿Quién sabe qué secretos
Se va a tener
revelaremos
que ir.
aquí?
Necesito al...
Buena jugada. Toma una moneda.
Necesito al ojo sombrío. Un provocar no estaría mal. Este posiblemente se pueda ir. Tenemos a ese. Lo hacemos así. Esto un provocar para ponerlo a Abraham.
Encabezas las tablas. ¡El público enloquece!
Va a Murros. ¿No hay otra cosa que pueda hacer triple? No.
3 strikes.
Solo Bram.
¡El oro es tuyo!
A ver, Murlos con grito de batalla, ninguno.
¿Quién sabe qué secretos develaremos aquí? Todos alientan a ese.
¿Tanto para eso? No entendí qué pasó. No hay ni un provocar. Este quizás se tenga que ir. Pero en parte es lo que me da Murlocs. Quiero... Bueno, este turno lo dejo así, pero quiero el... el tóxico. En la compra.
Estás en la cima de la tabla.
Madre mía. Empate. Está bien.
La próxima vez les ganarás.
Bueno.
Ese es un novato.
Quiero... Epa.
Pongámosle un poco de picante.
No. Elementales, este puede
¡Wow!
servir.
Un atleta veterano.
Duplicamos el ataque. Lo hacemos así. Nos queda 2 roles gratis. Última partidita y me retiro.
Estás en la cima de la tabla.
Estamos llegando a las 4 horas de directo. Buen golpe. Un empate. Qué mala suerte.
¿Y quién va ganando?
Elementales. Este quizás. Vamos a armadura. Este por si hace un
Uno
triple.
fuerte para tu equipo.
insólito. No agarró veneno. Quería que agarre veneno.
Tienes que reclutar a algunos campeones.
Hacemos así.
Estás en la cima de la tabla. ¿Cómo va el partido?
Ay, renacer tenía que haber agarrado. Qué mal.
Te haré un buen precio. Tienes que reclutar a algunos campeones.
Otra vez no agarra veneno. No me sirve así. Quizás Leroy Jenkins. Llegamos a provocar al bueno de Leroy. Y este lo hacemos así.
Creo que vas a ganar una medalla.
Era renacer. Mal golpe.
¿Sí? ¿Quién va ganando?
Pero qué cosa. Elementales. Estoy buscando un veneno. Quizá este esté bien. Baile mentales. Lo dejo ahí.
Estoy revisando tu puntuación. Vas muy bien.
GG, genial. Top 4 o top 3. A ver. Top 4. Bueno. Hasta acá dejamos el directo. Gracias por pasarse y espero que les guste. Pueden seguir, suscribirse. Es totalmente gratis. Chau, chau.